5 o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Stefano DiPietro tells us.
There's been a few changes since we talked yesterday, and the big one so far is that higher-end threat. The 3 out of 5 is backed off just a little farther to the west, but still includes areas like Waverly, Centerville, back through Decaturville, Paris, and Murray. Those are the areas with the highest severe risk. The rest of the mid-state, still a good risk, about a 2 out of 5 on that scale. Now, the overall severe weather bullseye for tonight is going to be south and west of Nashville. It's still western portions of Mississippi, northeastern Louisiana, and southeastern portions of Arkansas. Might even include the Memphis area.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, a suspect's in custody for what Metro Police say was a series of random attacks on unsuspecting people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kadri Renfo after releasing surveillance camera images of a man in a hoodie beating up a 45-year-old man at a laundromat on Dickerson Pike Wednesday night. That man just standing there with his arms folded when he is hit with a pipe or a cane or some other long weapon. This attack followed 3 others in the past 2 weeks. Right now in Wilson County, News 2 says Global Vision Bible Church being sued by the county. News 2 says it's for excessive noise complaints and alleged zoning violations. Global Vision Bible Church declined to comment to News 2 at this time. Later today in Nashville, News Channel 5 says Metro will release 2 possible redistricting maps. The city working to meet a deadline to comply with the new state law limiting city councils to 20 members max. Nashville has 40 members. The law does not specify how many at-large seats can be in the mix, but observers say the more at-large districts, the better chances for minority representation. President Biden's in Canada today for the start of a 2-day visit. His press secretary says they expect to announce a deal that will let Canada send more asylum seekers who cross America's northern border back to the U.S. And market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
Stocks closed with some gains, but well off of their session highs. The Dow rose 75 points. It had been up more than 400. The Nasdaq added 117 for the session, and the S&P closed up 12. The CEO of TikTok told lawmakers that the social media site is not an agent for the Chinese government nor any other nation's government. The app is owned by ByteDance, which has offices in Beijing. There are millions of American users, but the site is dogged by persistent claims that it threatens national security and user privacy, and it could be used to promote pro-Beijing propaganda and misinformation. Fewer Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week. The Labor Department says they fell by 1,000 to 191,000 from the previous week. Starbucks' new CEO may be your next barista. He's going to work a half-day shift once a month in some of the stores to stay in touch with company culture.
Futures are down before the opening bell this morning on Wall Street. Dow futures down 236, S&P 25, NASDAQ 51. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's morning news with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
506, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7. Welcome on in. Friday, March 24th. Johnny B. Ken Weaver here as well. Ken, is this whole arrest of Donald Trump thing, is it actually going to happen?
Not today, Brother Dan, according to reports.
So the grand jury, Alvin Bragg, he's out there and he's been investigating this for a long time. Donald Trump, last weekend, I think I'm seeing what's happened here.
Yeah.
So this whole investigation, which it looks like it is a farce. It absolutely looks like a farce. I think that what Donald Trump did last weekend was absolutely brilliant. What he did when he said, I'm going to be arrested next Tuesday, that really shines a spotlight on the stupidity of Alvin Bragg and the fact that this whole investigation is nothing but political. And so instead of cowering in a corner, Trump said, you know what? Hey, world, I'm about to be arrested. And then what that did is that started this whole cascading of events with Alvin Bragg, where you all of a sudden have all of these legal eagles really looking at this case. And what have we found out in the last week? We have found out in the last week that Alvin Bragg, the DA for Manhattan, he hid those 600 documents of exculpatory documents, this evidence that Donald Trump did not make those payments to Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen did this on his own. That's number one. Number two, you have people now calling out Michael Cohen, saying that he, as we all know, is an absolute liar. So I think that what Donald Trump did is he basically said, hey, world, this is what they're going to do. And then the world responded. You had the media going after now Donald Trump, but also some in the media going after the DA, Alvin Bragg. So I think that this whole thing was Donald Trump in a chess move with Alvin Bragg. Donald Trump basically saying, I'm going to get arrested. And so then you've got Alvin Bragg. All of a sudden, the grand jury no longer meeting. They postponed the meetings now a couple of times this week. They're not going to get together until next week. And we start finding out all of these things about the absolute disarray going on within Alvin Bragg's office. And you've got all of these employees saying, no, he's got no case. You have lawmakers and you have a lot of these various attorneys and prosecutors in New York saying to Alvin Bragg, the DA, you don't have a case. Then we find out, back in 2018, Michael Cohen writes this letter where he says that he was never reimbursed that $130,000 from Donald Trump for making those payments to Stormy Daniels. And so what happens is you've got the light shining very brightly and probably very uncomfortably on Alvin Bragg, because his star witness, stop me when you've heard this before all week, his star witness, Michael Cohen, a known liar, a convicted liar. We've been through this before with this guy. Big shock, he's been lying. And so I think this whole thing, this entire week, has been a brilliant chess move by Donald Trump. He's out there golfing again today. I mean, am I wrong on this? You don't have to respond, Ken. I'm asking this rhetorically. But it seems to me like that is exactly what happened. And you know who else got caught up in all of this? Ron DeSantis. Now, DeSantis, earlier this week, we certainly covered this. I believe that we all did when DeSantis said this.
You're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
And everybody started laughing. Somebody, Sebastian Gorka said, oh, DeSantis and his peanut gallery. Okay. DeSantis was a little snarky there. And he commented on it finally. And earlier this week, I said, you know what? That's a very disciplined response. It is a very soft tap against the former president. However, If it turns out, every day there's another piece of evidence that shows that Michael Cohen has been lying, big shock there, and that Alvin Bragg, his entire case is, made of sand. It's got no foundation. Well, now, because DeSantis said what he said, now he kind of looks a little bad. Because there was a little bit of snark in his voice. And remember, he also said, I haven't seen any facts. I haven't seen any evidence. This is all just, what is, coming out from the former president and from unsubstantiated claims by Alvin Bragg. But when you listen to how DeSantis said it.
You're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
Now, I will also say, I'm going to try to be fair here, because he could have been just simply talking about the ridiculousness of the situation. Not commenting on the fact that Donald Trump is accused of making these, hush money payments. But the whole thing in general, it's not in his wheelhouse. Now, Ron DeSantis got a lot of pushback from that particular statement from Trump world. When you talk about Trump world, you talk about, Mike Lindell and Sebastian Gorka and millions of Americans across the country. And I think that maybe, just maybe, Ron DeSantis may have spoken just a bit too soon. Because it was after that we found out about the 600 pages of exculpatory evidence that Alvin Bragg did not give to the grand jury. We find out about the 2018 letter with Michael Cohen saying that he had not been reimbursed for that payment. Also, by the way, saying that, this was not Donald Trump's idea or the idea of anyone in his company. It was Michael Cohen's idea. And here's the thing about that. As the official fixer for Donald Trump, his job is to make these kinds of things go away and make sure that Donald Trump himself has plausible deniability. Trump has said all along, I never had an affair with Stormy Daniels. Johnny brought up a great point the other day. Donald Trump is a germaphobe. Do you really think he's going to have an affair with a porn star? I don't think so. It's a great point. We'll never really know the true relationship, I don't believe, between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels. But here's the thing. Alvin Bragg, it would appear, cannot prove a damn thing. And so this whole thing, I believe, was Donald Trump in what now it seems on this Friday, March 24th, as an absolutely brilliant chess move. And now it's Alvin Bragg's turn, and he's got nothing. By the way, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, he was interviewed by Piers Morgan. I've got a whole bunch of audio to play for you. Some of those cuts are coming up next, including a little bit more on what DeSantis said about this whole situation with Donald Trump. It is all straight ahead. It is 5:15. By the way, the super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Jack. 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. And today, mostly cloudy, a high of 77. Stronger storms moving in tonight. Mostly sunny weekend, a high on Saturday of 68, high on Sunday of 73, and right now 66 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There's a lot of folks that have been saying that this is a moment that more than likely will not age well for the Florida governor.
You're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
And so now you have Piers Morgan asking Ron DeSantis not only about this comment, but about the whole situation with Donald Trump. And here's how that conversation went last night.
Well, I think there's a lot of speculation about what the underlying conduct is. That is purported to be it. And, the reality is that's just outside my wheelhouse. I mean, that's just not something that I can speak to. So, I hope it doesn't come to where you end up seeing this going forward. I mean, look, if you are a very strident prosecutor, and this guy's on the left, and you're not prosecuting a lot of crimes, Manhattan's gotten less safe, you're going to go after somebody on the other side for some novel offense. That just does not inspire confidence, and people see that as weaponizing the justice system. So I think it's fundamentally wrong to do that, and I just made it be known. But we'll see. Maybe it won't come to that. I mean, we haven't seen anything firm yet.
We see that's a very measured response, and there's no snark in DeSantis's voice, no snark whatsoever. That comment, I think, will age a lot better than the previous one that I played, especially if it comes out that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, or at the very least, that Alvin Bragg is unable to prove it. Now, there's a lot of speculation that he just doesn't have the goods, Alvin Bragg. Now, Donald Trump has put out a couple of videos this week, also all kinds of Truth Social posts blasting those that are going after him. Here's one thing that he posted on Truth Social. This is a quote. "Isn't it terrible that DA Bragg refuses to do the right thing and call it a day?" He posted on his Truth Social platform later in the day. I believe this was yesterday. He would rather indict an innocent man and create years of hatred, chaos, and turmoil than give him his well-deserved freedom. The whole country sees what is going on, and they're not going to take it anymore. They've had enough. Donald Trump posts, "There was no error made, no misdemeanor, no crime, and above all, no case." I mean, certainly I will throw in no felony. Continuing on with Donald Trump, "They spied on my campaign, rigged the election, falsely impeached, cheated, and lied. They are human scum." Tell us how you really feel, Mr. Former President. Also posting total disarray in the Manhattan DA's office. He also posted that on Thursday, yesterday. Tremendous dissension and chaos because they have no case. And many of the honest people in the office of Alvin Bragg know it, and they want to do the right thing. Oh, and here's a shocker. Donald Trump is being called a racist because of what he said about Alvin Bragg. We'll get into that as well. It is interesting the things that people get so wrapped around the axle over. So here's one of the things that Trump said. He called Alvin Bragg an animal. He called him a Soros-backed animal. Here's the entirety of the quote. "Why won't Bragg drop this case? Everybody says there is no crime here. I did nothing wrong. It was all made up by a convicted nut job with zero credibility and who has been disputed by highly respected professionals at every turn." Then he did call him, Alvin Bragg, a Soros-backed animal. This is the Gestapo. This is Russia. This is China. But worse, this is disgraceful. As you can imagine, people lost their ever-loving minds on social media. Right before the news, I'm going to tell you what some folks had to say about Donald Trump calling Alvin Bragg a Soros-backed animal. Myself, personally, I don't believe this is a racist comment. We'll talk about that as well straight ahead. 520, Nashville's Morning News. Again, the super text line is open, 615-737-9986.
The Drive with Brian Wilson.
Coming up this afternoon on The Drive, news and information you can use, and Phone Your Farm Friday.
The Drive with Brian Wilson. Afternoons at 3. Super.
One of the big words being thrown around in the investing world right now is this one. You may have heard it. Fiduciary. The idea that the investment advisor has to keep your interest first when they give advice. Now, it's being used in a marketing sense right now, and one of the things that I found fascinating, there was a study by the University of Southern California and Indiana University. They looked at investment advisor portfolios and they found that they were making basic academic mistakes in the management of their own portfolios. And the question that they asked was, if they can't even keep their own best interest first, how are they going to keep your best interest first? That was the question. Now, one of the things that we do at Paul Winkler Inc. is every one of our offices, 10 offices, is run by a degreed planner, number one. But we go way beyond the call of duty when it comes to fiduciary and making sure that we're using academically sound principles in investing. Evidence-based. In other words, a lot of this is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. To learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
A suspect in Nashville police custody after a series of random attacks on unsuspecting victims. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 526, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Friday to you, March 24th. People losing their ever-loving minds as Donald Trump calls this Alvin Bragg, the DA in Manhattan, a Soros-backed animal. How? I don't believe that that's racist. People, of course, calling this racist, a few social media missives. The head of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, says, moreover, referring to a black prosecutor as an animal is racist and it's gross. I'm sorry, what do you call this political witch hunt that is going on right now in this country against a past president and possible future president? I would call that evil and sinister, as a matter of fact. So, I mean, if we're going to look at what is the more evil act, I would say that what the DA is doing is far more sinister and evil than Donald Trump calling this jackhole an animal. Anyway, Jonathan Greenblatt, it's the kind of dog whistle that we've come to expect from Donald Trump. It's a dog whistle. That's what it is. It's a dog whistle.
Yeah, all of those old phrases are going to be with us for a while.
It might appeal to white supremacists. Am I a white supremacist? Because I don't see the.
I don't think you are, Brother Dan.
I don't see the harm in calling this guy an animal. He's a jackhole. He's politically motivated. I mean, we could go on and on, but
well, we should ask him what he identifies as.
The Jonathan Greenblatt continues on. It should be rejected by all decent Americans. Okay, I guess I'm undecent.
Maybe he is a jackhole.
But you know what the thing is? It's all about selective outrage. I mean, really, this Jonathan Greenblatt, I would say, this is what you're choosing to be outraged over, and not this clearly political hatchet job against Donald Trump. I think that this is going to be a story that is going to continue to implode on the left. So get your popcorn ready. Can't wait to watch it unfold. It is 5:29 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, and every single week I really look forward to my training session at the Glock store in Nashville, as I do continue my firearms training. And every single week I'm getting more consistent. I'm getting more comfortable working with John and Mitch and Dan and Bo and Carlos. All of these trainers are absolutely world class, and I learn more every single day, and it does show in my performance. Now, whether you're an expert or a beginner like me with your firearm, the Glock store can help you shoot better and more confidently. And by the way, their ranges are amazing. I've been talking about their Shoot 270 indoor ranges. They are unmatched in Middle Tennessee. And again, so are these trained instructors that are here to train you. You can find them online at theglockstore.com. It's like a two-way paradise, as I like to say. Walls full of guns and accessories and parts, and you can have those accessories and you can have those parts installed while you wait at the Glock store in Nashville. Always tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. You can find them online. It's glockstore.com.
It is 5:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Looks like the best chance is going to be southwest of Nashville. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, a suspect's in custody after a series of what Metro Police say was a random attacks on unsuspecting people. The latest happened Wednesday night. A 45-year-old man hit with a pipe or a cane or some other long weapon for no reason. He's just standing there with his arms crossed. Police arrested 32-year-old Kahadre Renfro after releasing surveillance camera images of Wednesday night's attack at a laundromat on Dickerson Pike. President Biden's in Canada, expected to strike a deal that will let Canada send more asylum seekers who cross America's northern border back to the U.S., Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
We're seeing an increase in irregular migration going north into Canada, which reflects the regional and global migration challenge, as we have been talking about. We're committed to working with them to address it.
So what this means is right now, most of these are crossing in upstate New York, and the rules for now only let Canada send people back at official crossings. Well, That will change when the U.S. and Canada announce this deal to send those asylum seekers back to the U.S. at all crossings. TikTok CEO trying to convince Congress not to ban the social media platform. Justin Finch tells us what happened on Capitol Hill during a hearing yesterday.
CEO Xiao Chu insisted the platform has taken steps to protect data.
And we know we have a responsibility to protect them.
The plan is to store Americans' data on U.S. soil, but that firewall won't be in place until later this year.
I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what?
I
find that actually preposterous.
It's unclear if yesterday's hearing will translate into any action.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
537, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into the gang of three amigos. Ken Weaver is here. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
Johnny B. Hey, Johnny. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you both.
I'm Dan, and I still can't get this stupid microphone figured out.
You just talk into it, Brother Dan.
No, thank you, Ken. Haven't figured that out after 35 years. No, the camera, they're on me about the camera angle, and the microphone stand thingamajigger here is in the way, and I don't know.
Yeah, the shifting spanner.
Yeah, I don't, it's like I don't know where to put things.
So now we're getting critiques on our...
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to have to hire a cameraman.
Yes.
Or a woman.
Or what we could do is get, mic arms that actually come from the table up and not down. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So anyway, but the super text line is open, 615-737-9986. Super Talk TV is also on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and at 997WTN.com.
Yes,
it's a big day in rock and roll.
Yes.
It's 40 years ago today that ZZ Top album, Eliminator, was...
Yeah.
I love this song, too. It's probably one of my favorites on the album.
Really?
Yeah. She got me under pressure.
I've already told you guys that I don't really get ZZ Top, right? I told you that?
Yeah, you did, Brother Dan.
A very controversial statement here on Nashville's Morning News.
My favorite song on this album is TV Dinners.
Oh, yeah, that's another
freaking love TV Dinners.
You know what my favorite song on this album is?
What is it, Brother Dan Mandis?
The last one.
What do you got against ZZ Top, dude?
I don't know.
That little old band from Texas.
They're not Taylor Swift.
They're not. Wow, Johnny. Johnny's
sorry.
loaded for bear today, boy.
Well, I can't get over Amy's quote you gave us earlier this morning.
So yesterday we were talking about, I forget which iteration it was, the 535 or the 835, but we were talking about cassettes and how I have a whole bunch of cassettes and old CDs and stuff at home, and how, we were talking about how I was just going to give it to you guys and you guys can look through it. You've got to just toss whatever you don't want or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned that it was in a big black garbage bag. Well, it's not. And Amy reminded me that for, I think it was our anniversary or something last year, she actually it wasn't in a plastic bag anymore. What she did was she took them and put them in like really nice cases and stuff. And I just completely forgot that she had done that. So that's number one. And number two, along with my hundreds and hundreds of, old Foreigner and Dexy's Midnight Runner CDs and cassettes, I had, and to quote her on a Post-it note, I had an alarming number of Taylor Swift CDs.
An alarming number.
An alarming number of Taylor Swift CDs. Because it's true, I had like 3 versions of Red, which is one of my favorite Taylor Swift CDs.
Yeah.
3 versions?
Yeah, but
Boy,
there's a
hooked
reason.
you.
I've got a perfectly good explanation, a perfectly reasonable explanation for that.
All right, brother.
There was the original version.
Right.
Which was red.
And then there was my daughter's version, which somehow ended up in my stack.
Okay.
And then there was like some sort of a special edition, maybe another song or something. So
maybe some live in concert cuts. that
something.
sort of thing.
I don't know. But anyway, so if you guys, I'm getting rid of all of it.
Yeah,
I'm getting rid of my
You're
CDs,
crazy.
my cassettes, and you guys can have it.
You're cray-cray.
That's my cray-cray, my tay-tay, all of it is just going.
Cray, tay-tay.
Brother Dan, it's like I told you. I'm going to go through that big old bunch of music you have, but I'm going to keep it because one of these days, you are going to want that stuff back.
I guarantee you,
give
Ken
it back
Weaver,
to you.
I am never going to want those things again.
Yes, you will.
Dude, they've been sitting in my garage. Actually, they've been sitting in like 7 of my garages.
Doesn't matter.
It's one of the few things I got out of my divorce was my stupid old cassettes and CDs.
Man, you're lucky. See, most of my ex-wives took mine hostage.
Did they really?
Yeah.
See, now that is a crime. I mean, Brother Johnny B's music collection. I'd love to go through Brother Johnny B's collection.
Well, the albums have gotten thinner over the years.
Yeah.
From the spouses.
See, the thing that I don't like about albums is, and this harkens back to our conversation yesterday, is they get the little, scratches on them.
Yes.
And I know that's what makes them sound special. All you vinyl files out there. Is that a thing, a vinyl file?
That's toxic, Brother Dan Mandis. You're throwing some toxicity toward us.
No,
this
I'm just
morning.
saying a vinyl file.
No,
right?
because that was one of my complaints about.
I'm joking.
Was that, and you'd have, or it gets, get stuck.
Yep.
On a line.
There is, I think I've said this before. There was an album when I was a kid, Journey's Escape album. I know, big shock, Journey. But there was the song Lay It Down.
Good one.
Side 2, track 2, Lay It Down. There was something in my record that made the record just stop right there, and it played the same note like over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Should tape a quarter to your needle.
And so the funny thing is, when I hear that song, every time I hear that song, when that moment, when that note hits, I remember that record stopping in that particular note and just playing over and over again. And you know why that is? Because I was one of those crazy kids that would fall asleep with his headphones on listening to my records.
Exactly.
Here recently, my wife and I, we were out vinyl hunting and we found a original print of The Fix, Reach the Beach.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looked horrible. The record looked awful. It was only $2. And I thought, okay, well, for $2, I'm going to buy this. Get it home. I clean it. I play it. There's not one skip. There's no popping.
Wow.
I have no idea how it is not. But I mean, that record is clean sounding. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
How some of these records can just look atrocious, but they still sound good.
Do you know what I wanted to do? I feel like I should use my lofty post here as host of Nashville's Morning News.
Yeah.
I want to create a movement. I want to create a movement where across America, we as Americans, there's one thing that America absolutely desperately needs.
What's that?
A candle to the scent of a new record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boy, that was nice.
I always love the smell of a new record.
When you would open up that plastic, hopefully not give yourself an album cut or a paper cut.
Right.
You open up that album, I would be that guy. I would sniff the album.
Yes, I did too.
All right, so it's not just me. So who do we talk to about getting a candle made up of new album smell?
New album smell or new car smell?
Yeah,
I like
that
both.
too.
I'll go with new album smell any day of the week.
Yeah.
How about
Absolutely.
hot chicken and mac and cheese smell? Actually, I don't need a camera for that. I'll just go get it.
How about
Listen.
patchouli smell?
Listen, there's been weirder candle scents out there. Just ask Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Moving right along from
Goodness gracious.
Can I just say, you can't fix stupid.
No, you can't.
No,
Listen to this headline. Fruit roll-ups, like a fruit roll-up is, right?
Yeah.
Is now warning TikTokers against eating plastic wrap as part of a trend as lawmakers debate banning the app. So apparently what they're doing, what these TikTokers are doing, they're eating the plastic of a fruit roll-up. Now, can I just say?
Morons.
That's
all of them.
not the fault of the Chinese folks.
No, that's just stupid
That is
Americans.
just dumb.
Well, it's probably the Chinese going, let's see what we can go crazy Americans to do now.
This is China saying, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Look how stupid the Americans are.
Let's see. Hundreds of thousands of them die every year from fentanyl. What else can we get them to do to kill themselves?
Hey, eat Tide Pods, Yankee dog.
I'm telling you, man. It's just ridiculous.
It is.
Morons.
Yeah,
And the rest of the world, I mean, you've got war in Ukraine. You've got famine in Africa. I mean, you've got and we're over here eating Tide Pods and plastic from fruit roll-ups.
And trying to get into electric vehicles that are breaking us.
Yes. Yeah.
Financially.
Very interesting story on that front.
Yes.
Johnny,
Ford,
would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, do it, Brother Johnny B.
No,
Tell us.
you got the story, I do believe.
Yeah, Ford says they have lost $3 billion in electric vehicle sales.
That's $3 billion.
But they're moving forward. They're going to stay on it. They expect to lose about that same amount this year.
Listen, as long as Mother Earth is happy, that's all that matters, apparently.
Yeah.
See, the dumb thing is, and how many times, gentlemen, have we said this, where it's great to have these things, but if it doesn't work for the American people, if they're too expensive, or if it's too inconvenient, then people simply are not going to buy these things.
Or, as the liberals like to say, it's not sustainable.
Well, it's not. It's not sustainable.
Not at all.
So isn't it, it's out there in Memphis, right?
They're building a major campus in Memphis. We're talking about, I want to say, what 5,000 jobs?
Oh, yeah. 5,000 jobs. They've got a
that.
whole training thing out there. And so, and listen, I do you guys have any doubt that eventually we'll all be driving electric cars? Once the technology catches up to the idea, it's a fine idea.
But even electric car, I mean, it may never come to fruition like they want. I'm more interested in nuclear. I think that's the way to go.
A nuclear car?
Yeah, I mean, nuclear fuel, some kind of.
Listen, whatever works. And for me, as long
we're
as
doing both in Tennessee.
As long as the free market, does its thing.
That's the key.
That's the whole point.
That's the key, because that's why this is not. That's why Ford is losing $3 billion, because the government is trying to push this through. The government has never been successful. Never.
As I always like to say, the government could screw up a rainbow, and they have.
Yeah.
And they will.
Isn't France socialist? They're socialist, right?
Yes.
Look what's happening there.
Well,
we got, Macron. Emmanuel Macron, who says, well, you're not going to be able to retire at 62 years old anymore.
No.
We're going to move that up to 64, but we're going to keep spending your money.
Hey, listen to this. 1506, Dan, my girlfriend, makes awesome candles. Send me an address, and I'll have her send you a candle scented with new record.
Wow.
New album.
That's not possible.
That 1506 is on the super text line. It must be true.
How do you make it smell like a record?
I don't know how they make candles. I've actually always been fascinated by that. How they make
I'm not
candles.
talking about the candle, but how do you make it smell like a record?
Yeah, how do you get that smell into a candle?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, I don't either.
Well, maybe we'll find out, Brother Dan. Hey, tell them where you live and like exactly where you live, and let's see what happens.
That's what I need.
Hey,
That's
Dan,
what I need.
hey,
People
Dan,
showing up at my house again.
Wait, we can come over.
Sure.
You had people showing up at your house?
Oh, I've had people. Yeah. Let's move on. Move on.
It does happen. I had one show up at my place.
Yeah.
What?
At an old place I had. Yeah. I was out getting something out of my car. I see this guy walking by. I've never seen him before. Hey, Johnny B. Hey, how you doing?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and listen, I love every single one of you folks, even the haters. I do. Don't come over.
Yeah, don't come to the house. You won't like me. It's kind of like I tell people, you know, the people that say they want to go backstage at a David Allan Coe concert.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And it's like you folks that go, I want to come over to your house, Johnny. No, you don't.
Listen, if somebody wants to put on slippies and, eat popcorn and watch Maverick for the 90,000th time down in my basement, come on over.
Slippies.
I do. I have my little slippies. Anyway, moving on from there.
All right.
Guys, big plans this weekend? Doing anything fun? I'm doing absolutely nothing. I've been, for the last 2 weekends, I was in Florida flying back, trying to find my luggage. And then last weekend, I was in Arizona. So this weekend, I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, well, good for you. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that, man.
Except mow the lawn and clean the house and work on the backyard. Other than that,
I'm just going to have some quality time with my family. And then me and my son are going to head over to Tulsa and visit some more family. I'm going to catch fish.
All right.
I'm going to kill turtles because they're trying to kill the fish that I want to catch. And I'm going to eat fried chicken, fried frog legs until I can't move.
Ken, the turtle people are going to come after you.
Yeah, I love turtles, but I don't like those water turtles.
By the way, you know what's sad? You mentioned quality time with the family. In my house, apparently, I was reminded this week, what quality time means is working on the backyard and cleaning the house and doing all of those other kinds of things. I said to Amy, I said, it's funny, that's not my version of quality time. She says, well, welcome to Life with Amy. Okay, fine. Is what it is.
Yeah, I got one of those honeydews coming whenever I get back. I got to take care of something, too.
Yes. All right, Johnny, we got like 15 seconds. Big plans this weekend?
No.
All right, we got 10 seconds
same
left.
As you. Same as you.
Very good. Let's see here. Philip asks, do you still have the gravel pile? Yes. I can't get rid of that
Is grass growing up out of it yet?
Yeah, that makes it harder to mow. You ever try and mow a gravel pile?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
it's not easy,
and it's not. You probably shouldn't because you could take out a window.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Remind me to tell the story at 8:35. It is 5:53 on WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at LT360. Listen, you know they helped me lose 65 plus pounds. I've been able to keep it off thanks to LT360 and these holistic healthcare programs that really do work. And what they're going to do for you is create a program that is customized absolutely for you and your lifestyle. So, friends, if you are tired of taking medications and you want preventative health care that's going to help keep you healthy as opposed to treating you when you're sick, you've got to call LT360 today. They've got the highest success rating out there in terms of helping to prevent and fight off the symptoms of chronic illness. So call them today, LT360. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-815-0390, LT360.com. 5:57, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up next, I've got all kinds of great audio from the Piers Morgan DeSantis interview that aired last night. And I think it really does present DeSantis in a very interesting light. Details and the audio straight ahead on Nashville's morning news on WTN.
It is 6 o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Stefano DiPietro, tell us the latest.
There's been a few changes since we talked yesterday, and the big one so far is that higher-end threat. The 3 out of 5 is backed off just a little farther to the west, but still includes areas like Waverly, Centerville, back through Decaturville, Paris, and Murray. Those are the areas with the highest severe risk. The rest of the mid-state, still a good risk, about a 2 out of 5 on that scale. Now, the overall severe weather bullseye for tonight is going to be south and west of Nashville. It's still western portions of Mississippi, northeastern Louisiana, and southeastern portions of Arkansas. Might even include the Memphis area.
Got the full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, a suspect is in custody for what Metro Police say was a series of random attacks on unsuspecting people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kahadri Renfro after releasing surveillance camera images of a man in a hoodie beating up a 45-year-old man in a laundromat on Dickerson Pike Wednesday night. The man's just standing there with his arms folded when he's hit with a pipe or a cane or some other long weapon. This attack followed 3 others in the past 2 weeks. Right now in Wilson County, News 2 says Global Vision Bible Church being sued by the county. It's for excessive noise complaints and alleged zoning violations. Global Vision Bible Church declined to comment at this time, according to News 2. Later today in Nashville, News Channel 5 says Metro will release 2 possible redistricting maps. The city working to meet a deadline to comply with a new state law that limits city councils to 20 members max. Nashville has 40. The law does not specify how many at-large seats can be in the mix. Observers say the more at-large districts, the better chances for minority representation. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
A volatile trading session ended with the major stock indexes on the plus side. The Dow Jones gained 75 points to land at 32,105. The S&P 500 added 0.3% yesterday. The Nasdaq Composite rose 1%. Mortgage rates are going the other way. Freddie Mac says the average rate for a 30-year fixed fell for the second straight week to 6.42%. That's still a full 2 points higher than it was this time last year. Would you pay more for a good seat in a movie theater? It might depend upon your age. A survey from research firm Morning Consult finds that 54% of Gen Z ticket buyers are okay paying more for a premium seat, only 22% of baby boomers. And if you head to the snack counter, you might find your choices limited. If you live in California, a state assemblywoman has proposed a bill to ban the sale of foods containing potentially harmful chemicals. One of those chemicals is found in Skittles.
All right, futures point to a lower open on Wall Street. Dow futures off 265. S&P down 25. NASDAQ down 40. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And go, my fellow Americans.
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:06 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Trump or DeSantis, DeSantis or Trump, it is something that Republicans across America and really conservatives across America and the world are talking about these days. And one of the things, and we did discuss this in the 5 o'clock hour, but a lot of folks coming in here at the 6. With the grand jury for Alvin Bragg, that grand jury is now not going to meet today or obviously at all this week. Now it's Friday. So they were supposed to meet earlier this week. That was canceled. And then yesterday's meeting was canceled as well. It is Friday. They will not be meeting today as well. What does that tell you about Alvin Bragg's case? Now, very quickly, just so you know where I'm going with all of this today, I think that Donald Trump, I think he pulled a fast one. I think last weekend when he said that he was going to get arrested, remember I said earlier this week, I said, is it possible that Trump is trolling America? Here's what I think happened. What I think happened is the former president said, I'm going to get arrested on Tuesday. That shines this really bright spotlight on Alvin Bragg, and then people start talking about how ludicrous his case actually is. So I think if this is a chess match between Donald Trump and Alvin Bragg, I mean, that was Trump's move, and it was absolutely brilliant of a move. Because now Alvin Bragg, he's got nothing to say. As a matter of fact, what have we found out this week? We found out that Alvin Bragg, the DA in Manhattan, I don't want to go on and on about this. We've heard all of this week. But Alvin Bragg, the DA of Manhattan, he withheld 600 documents he's accused of withholding. 600 exculpatory documents from the grand jury. Documents that would have helped to clear the name of Donald Trump. That's number one. Not a good look for Alvin Bragg. Number two, you want to talk about Michael Cohen. Of course, we found out that Michael Cohen, in a letter in 2018, complained that he had not been reimbursed for the $130,000 that was paid to Stormy Daniels. And also it comes out in this letter and past writings and so forth that this was not Donald Trump's idea. It was not the idea of anyone within Trump's circle, except for the fixer Michael Cohen. And Trump has always maintained that he did not have sex with Stormy Daniels. So since Donald Trump shined that light on Alvin Bragg, his case has absolutely fallen apart. We've all heard about the chaos that is going on within Bragg's department. So there is just a lot going on. And so now the question is, if ultimately this case dissolves, this case just, there's nothing there, and Bragg comes out and he says, we've decided not to pursue this matter any longer. That is, as we've been saying all week on Nashville's Morning News, that would be huge for Donald Trump. Now, the other guy involved in all this, kind of, sort of, Ron DeSantis, and, Florida governor outside of Donald Trump. He is the other guy, the other conservative that many people are discussing about becoming president of the United States. He, of course, has not even announced that he's running yet. However, last night was the big interview with Piers Morgan. And he asked, some tough questions of Ron DeSantis. Other questions were actually softballs. But this is when Morgan asked DeSantis about the criticism that DeSantis is getting from the left.
This is from Vanity Fair. They said you're a wannabe autocrat, already governed the Sunshine State like a banana republic. You're the Genghis Khan of social issues, using every opportunity to target and demonize groups that have already been targeted and demonized throughout history. Trevor Noah called you an ignorant racist. Stephen Colbert, a gaping bleep. Seth Meyers said you were cruel, sadistic, stupid, repulsive, ghoulish.
I mean, listen to those. That's Piers Morgan reading some of these insults against Ron DeSantis. Now, here's the thing. These leftists, these progressives, it's like they say this about all conservatives now. I mean, have you noticed that? It's like Tim Scott. He's an Uncle Tom. You just heard Piers Morgan read about what they're saying about Ron DeSantis. We know what they said about Donald Trump, of course, Nazi and, Hitler and the rest of that nonsense. So, this is really becoming pretty much par for the course with the left. It's beginning because, when the left these days, they call you racist, right? Well, nobody pays attention to that anymore because they say that everyone on the right is racist. And so, quite frankly, nobody cares. It's getting to the point, I believe, where the left, they'll just say anything about anyone on the right. And I guess the question is, does anybody really care at this point? This is what Ron DeSantis had to say about those criticisms.
People are getting a bit worried about you.
I think it's right. I think they see me over the target. I'm obviously coming at it from a different perspective than they like to see. Those are all people on the left and sometimes far left. But here's the thing. I think the reason why I won the biggest landslide in the history of Florida for governor's race is because that criticism is so far removed from the reality. There's legitimate things we can criticize everybody for, including me. But when you start talking about being an autocrat, all I do is I look at my constitutional powers and I govern in a way to advance the principles that I believe in.
And it is clear, obviously, it is clear that the people of Florida, because remember, he was reelected. So he had one term. Clearly, the people of Florida liked what they saw, liked what they heard, liked what he did, and they decided that they would elect him in a big-time landslide for a second term. There was also an interesting moment in that interview where Piers Morgan admitted to Ron DeSantis that he had tweeted some nasty comments about the Florida governor way back during the lockdown. And Piers Morgan, and you got to give it to Morgan, he didn't have to bring this up, but he did. He went way back and he realized that he had tweeted this out about Ron DeSantis, and then he admitted that he was wrong. Listen.
Governor, I mean, you know, during COVID, I was the #1 governor being attacked.
I criticized you.
There you go. And
I
that's
discovered
fine.
today, I checked what I tweeted about you historically.
There you go.
And I found a tweet, I think in 2021, where it looked like Florida's record was not going to be good on COVID because you've been one of the first people in America, certainly, to bring back freedoms for people. And I was quite scathing. I said, this guy's going to have blood on his hands. Actually, it didn't turn out that way. Actually, you were very bold in a lot of the stuff you were doing, bolder than many other governors, and it turned out in many areas you were vindicated.
Yeah, and remember one of the things that I said a long time ago is, and by the way, I did not see an apology from Piers Morgan to Ron DeSantis, but I said a long time ago, all of these people that are attacking those folks who are simply asking questions about COVID and the vaccines and the data and the rest of that nonsense. And we were told that we wanted to kill people, et cetera, have blood on our hands and so forth. And I said, number one, how will history judge those things? That's number one, those accusations and so forth. And number two, you think that, people like Ron DeSantis will get any kind of an apology for those kinds of statements and those kinds of accusations. Well, at the very least, you got to hand it to Piers Morgan. He did admit that he was wrong. Now, coming up next, is Ron DeSantis a boring guy, and does he think that he can beat Joe Biden? That and a whole lot more straight ahead. 6:15. By the way, I also, Ken and Johnny, you've got to hear at 6:35. This just came down.
Okay.
6:35, a major announcement from Alvin Bragg.
Okay.
So you've got to stay tuned.
You're not joking, right? This is not tongue-in-cheek?
So you've got to stay tuned.
Okay.
6:35, a major announcement from Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA. It's all straight ahead. 6:15 on Nashville's Morning News. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. .616, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. 66 degrees right now, mostly cloudy today, a high of 77. Strong storms moving in tonight, mostly sunny this weekend, a high on Saturday of 68, high on Sunday of 73, and again, 66 at Super Talk, 99.7 WTN, going through some of the more relevant audio of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and this big interview with Piers Morgan. And one of the things that DeSantis has been accused of, I think it's kind of silly, is that DeSantis is a boring guy.
Someone reviewed your book and said he would launch any charm offensive unarmed.
Well, I appreciate the knocks on the book. It's the #1 book in America,
Right.
far and away. I've sold more than any non-president in the history of the country in terms of the first week. So we've been doing pretty good. A lot of people like it.
Does a hostile New York Times review help sales?
Yes, with conservatives, of course it does. Yes.
You think?
So here's the thing. I think there is. These are people who are in the political class, journalist class, politicians, and like D.C. in particular. They get mad. I don't do the cocktail parties. I don't like rubbing elbows with other people. I like doing my job and then spending time with my family. That's just what I do. A lot of the people that are criticizing, they would say, oh, he doesn't do well with donors. He doesn't glad hand with them. And yet I raise more money than any non-presidential candidate in the history of America. Are you kidding me?
I mean, listen to these numbers. Just a couple of headlines very quickly because I've got a lot of things to do. DeSantis fundraising group raises close to $10 million in the month of February. That was I think, a week or so ago that news story came out. Another one, DeSantis breaks fundraising record in 2022. I mean, he raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And so, it is interesting with Piers Morgan talking about all of these accusations against Ron DeSantis, where he's all things to the left, right? He is a Nazi and he's Hitler and he's, all of these just nasty things that they say about him. Yet at the same time, they say, but he's got no personality. I mean, it is really silly. Now, the subject of his big reelection in Florida did come up, and he was asked, and they were talking about how that reelection in Florida, could that play out nationally? It's an interesting conversation.
You've achieved a lot in Florida, and you had this thumping win. 1.5 million more people voted for you second time round as governor. An amazing validation of what you've been doing. Could you do that nationally?
I think you could. I think one of the things that was interesting about my election is the voters in Florida overwhelmingly thought the country was on the wrong track, but they thought Florida was on the right track. Right. We're very tough on crime. The policies in Washington are to be more weak on crime. We believe in good stewards of the environment, but I don't want to control everyone's behavior with some of the stuff that's going on. And we have really fought against the woke ideology.
So that is Ron DeSantis, and everyone knows what he was able to accomplish in Florida. He was able to get Hispanics on his side. He was able to grab independents and even some moderate Democrats. And so for the Florida governor, wide-ranging interview with Piers Morgan. By the way, I've got some audio, and this made headlines this morning. DeSantis is accused of some very scurrilous accusations regarding his time as I think they call it a junior attorney in Gitmo. So we'll talk about that. And what he said is he answers those allegations from the New York Times. So that story for you as well. And again, got big news from Alvin Bragg coming up at 6:35, the Manhattan DA, here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. From the Super Text lines, hey, Mandis, I noticed that you are endorsing Rhino Shield. That's because you're a rhino. No, it's not because I'm a rhino. It's because Rhino Shield does great work. We all know the housing market is crazy right now. One of the things you really need to do is maintain your home. And my friends at Rhino Shield, they can help you because curb appeal really is a thing. And an exterior paint job can help you. Give Rhino Shield of Nashville a call. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. And don't worry about your home's exterior paint for at least 25 years. Your house is going to look amazing and fresh for years to come, and you can save time and money in the process. You know, Rhino Shield can be used on virtually any surface, and it is guaranteed to last. It will increase the value of your home. It's going to lower your energy costs. It's going to protect your home from the elements, and yes, it is green-friendly as well. So give Clay Morris a call. He is the owner of Rhino Shield. He's going to get you a free estimate right away when you mention my name, 615-474-1729. 615-474-1729. RhinoShieldNashville.com.
One of the big words being thrown around in the investing world right now is this one. You may have heard it. Fiduciary. The idea that the investment advisor has to keep your interest first when they give advice. Now, it's being used in a marketing sense right now, and one of the things that I found fascinating, there was a study by the University of Southern California and Indiana University. They looked at investment advisor portfolios and they found that they were making basic academic mistakes in the management of their own portfolios. And the question that they asked was, if they can't even keep their own best interest first, how are they going to keep your best interest first? That was the question. Now, one of the things that we do at Paul Winkler Inc. is every one of our offices, 10 offices, is run by a degreed planner, number one. But we go way beyond the call of duty when it comes to fiduciary and making sure that we're using academically sound principles in investing. Evidence-based. In other words, a lot of this is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. To learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis. I want to introduce you to Rob Levin, founder of Work Better Now, a company that provides full-time remote talent to small businesses. And Rob, what sort of roles do your people fill?
Thanks, Dan. Clients turn to Work Better Now for incredible remote talent for roles such as executive assistants, marketing coordinators, customer service reps, and about 40 other roles.
You know, so many businesses are struggling with hiring qualified talent. How is Work Better Now able to do this?
We work with the top 2% of talent from Latin America. Work Better Now's talent is heavily vetted and matched specifically to your business needs so that you can onboard full-time talent in 1 to 2 weeks without the hassles of recruiting.
And these full-time dedicated assistants are only $2,100 a month with no long-term contract?
Yeah, that's correct, Dan. And WTN listeners get $150 off per month for the first 3 months just by mentioning WTN.
Thank you, Rob and friends. Find out how Work Better Now remote talent is transforming businesses across the country. Visit workbetternow.com.
This report is sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
The United States gets some payback in Syria. Right now in Nashville, a man is in custody for random attacks on people over the past 2 weeks. And guess where illegal aliens are entering the U.S. from now? Canada. And the president is in Canada today to strike a deal to send more of them back to the U.S. Details coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:25, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up 6:35, big announcement from Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, who is continuing, of course, his quest to go after Donald Trump. Meantime, Ron DeSantis interviewed by Piers Morgan last night. It was known that the interview was done a few days ago, and it was I believe anyway that it was a really good interview. And so one of the things that they talked about was, why is it that Ron DeSantis decided to join the military way back in the early 2000s? As a matter of fact, it all came down to, and you've heard this from a lot of folks, it all came down to 9/11.
And then when the towers fell, it changed my outlook. And I know we didn't have a draft or any of that, but I was like, look, I should be willing to help out here, and I'll have time to do other things in my life. And so we ended up volunteering. We did the Navy, and at that time I didn't know what I was in store for, but I ended up doing a lot of stuff around the country and around the world, including being in Iraq. And it was really, really valuable experience. I mean, when you wear the cloth of your country, that's meaningful service, and the people that you meet along the way are great, but there's just a lot, Jack Kennedy said people can look back on their life with a great deal of satisfaction and say, I served in the U.S. Navy, and I agree with them.
Where were you on 9/11?
I was, I think I had just graduated college and was kind of not a care in the world, and all of a sudden, boom, it happened. And so I had already been either accepted or planning on going to law school. And that's when I decided to start looking into some other career choices.
There you go. And he did. Now, this is the story this is just one of many headlines regarding Ron DeSantis today. DeSantis denies authorizing force feeding during time at Guantanamo Bay. And so the accusation is from the Washington Post that the Florida governor backed force feeding in his capacity as a legal advisor, according to an interview, they say, way back in 2018. They say that in the interview, DeSantis recalled moments when a commanding officer would ask a legal advisor how they could combat hunger strikes by detainees. And, DeSantis is supposedly quoted as saying that you could just force them to eat. And so that is, I guess, an accusation. I don't know why this is such a big deal, but whatever. So he was asked about that comment, and this is what he said.
The Washington Post did a big deep dive on this today, actually, about what you did out there. One of the things they said was that you authorize the use of force feeding.
That's not true. Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, any of the stuff that people
just to finish it, force feeding the detainees who were on hunger strike. Was that true?
So I was a junior officer. I didn't have authority to authorize anything. There may have been a commander that would have done feeding if someone was going to die, but that was not something that I would have even had authority to do.
So that's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so there you go. That is the very latest. There's some other audio that I'll sprinkle in throughout the morning from that interview between Piers Morgan and the Florida governor. Coming up next, got a number of different stories for you, including an announcement from Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA. Straight ahead. You don't want to miss this. 629, Nashville's Morning News. I was driving home yesterday. I saw this tree had landed on a home, and it did look like it caused some damage. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I hope that people really are listening when I talk about my friends at Moore & Smith Tree Care. They are here to help your trees grow and thrive. Or, sadly, if you have to chop them down, then they'll do that too. They can cut them back as well. But the bottom line is, you want healthy trees, because when the wind blows and if your trees are unhealthy, they'll end up landing on your home and causing all kinds of damage. That is why I do endorse Moore & Smith Tree Care. Now, they've been taking care of trees for over 20 years. No, they're not a tree care company. They are indeed arborists, and that means they know the biology behind your trees. They've got more Better Business Bureau recommendations than any other tree care company, and there's a few reasons why. They price match with any other company that is certified and has workers' comp. They also offer financing options, and by the way, I love this. When severe weather hits, they'll work directly with your insurance company so that you don't have to. So call them today. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. They will take care of your problematic trees one way or another. 877-TREE, 615-877-TREE, NashvilleTNTreeService.com.
6:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and that is some sunrise. Boy, that is nice. But it's going to change tonight, and we'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, got an update on the war on terror. U.S. is getting some payback in Syria.
The Defense Department says strikes were carried out on facilities in eastern Syria connected to Iran following a suspected drone strike on a coalition base in northeast Syria that left a U.S. contractor dead, as well as 5 U.S. service members and another contractor wounded. The Pentagon says intelligence determined the strike on the coalition base was carried out by an unmanned aerial vehicle of Iranian origin. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Right now in Nashville, a man is in custody for random attacks on people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kadri Renfro yesterday. They believe Renfro is the person on surveillance video slugging a man in the face with what appears to be a cane or a pipe Wednesday night at a laundromat on Dickerson Pike. That man's just standing there with his arms folded and gets slugged. Wednesday's attack was the 4th such attack in the past 2 weeks. President Biden in Canada today for a 2-day visit with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, expected to strike a deal that allows Canada to send asylum seekers who cross over back to the U.S. Here's Jim Ryan.
Customs and Border Protection says apprehensions along the U.S.-Canadian border at New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire have soared in the past year. CBP data shows the highest percentage of detainees are Mexicans who flew to Canada and then tried to enter the U.S. El Paso, Texas County Executive Ricardo Samaniego.
They're very careful not to be caught here on the border and thinking that Canada would be the best possible way to get to the United States illegally.
The undocumented immigrants are routinely flown from the Northeast to El Paso for deportation back to Mexico.
Ford says its electric vehicle business lost $3 billion before taxes over the past 2 years. It expects to lose about the same amount this year, but Ford isn't worried. Says it knew investing in new, necessary technology would be costly. It's expected to rev up profits in the near future, the unit making money by late 2026. And this morning, Ford says it's going to be cranking out 500,000 electric vehicles a year once its new Memphis campus is fully operational. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 6:33, Nashville's Morning News. Yes, today is Friday, March 24th. That means that the big spring Cub Cadet lawnmower sale, it begins today at my friends at DT McCall's, their Lebanon store. It starts today, goes through April 1st. Now, you know that these spring Cub Cadet lawnmower sale events that DT McCall's puts on, they do it every year, and every year it's a smashing success because those Cub Cadet lawnmowers, they are amazing. Now, they do have the various sizes, 42 to 72-inch decks for those larger areas, as well as Cub Cadet walk-behind mowers as well for those smaller lots. And that's why these events are so popular with the customers of DT McCall's. Now, again, it begins today, goes to April 1st, and when you buy a Cub Cadet lawnmower from DT McCall's, you're going to be getting access to their in-house service department as well. And you know, it is nearly impossible to find mower service anywhere else. DT McCall's is the place you want to go. The spring Cub Cadet lawnmower sale begins today at DT McCall's at their Lebanon store. It goes through April 1st. You can check them out online. It's dtmccalls.com.
Find everything you love listening to on Audible. Hear celebrity memoirs, mysteries, true crime, sci-fi, and more. Audible is the home of storytelling, audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
G'day, I'm Dr. Friday, president of Dr. Friday's Tax and Financial Firm. To get more info, go to www.drfriday.com. This is a 1-minute moment, and here's a scenario. You're divorced, your wife has custody of the children most of the time. Maybe it's even a 50-50 split. But on the divorce papers, it says that she is the custodial and you can only claim the children when she, basically every other year it's supposed to be, but if you haven't paid child support or if you're behind, they're able to claim these children. Keep in mind, the IRS doesn't care what a divorce decree says. It is basically very black and white. If the child has lived with you 6 months and 1 day, you provide more than 50% of their care, you are going to be able to claim that child depending on their age. You need help? You need to check out drfriday.com.
You can catch the Dr. Friday call-in show live every Saturday afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis for Paul Winkler Incorporated. Now, Paul Winkler changed my financial life by teaching me the right way to manage my retirement. To be honest, I looked at a few different firms and decided to work with Paul and his team. Now, one reason why is because Paul Winkler voluntarily holds himself to the highest standards of fiduciary duty. Now, that means that the investment regulators require that I tell you that I am paid every time this commercial airs, and that's incentive to say nice things. Well, that's fair enough. But here's the deal. I'm a client of Paul Winkler myself, and I wouldn't have chosen them if I didn't believe in what they do and how they work. Now, I like that their investing philosophy is evidence-based and not someone's opinion of the day. I wanted them to focus on balancing risk and helping me figure out what I needed in savings and help me make the decisions that would be in my best interest. I also didn't want to work with a firm that was paid on commission. Paul has 10 offices across Middle Tennessee, no doubt one near you. Check them out today at 615-851-1950. As always, tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. You can also find him online at paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone consultation. That's paulwinkler.com.
From the Paul Winkler Investments WTN Traffic Center.
So I'm bullish on used cars right now. Go to my website, givemethevin.com, and you will get a great experience. They don't call us America's best car buyer for nothing.
Sell us your car. Givemethevin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Nashville's morning news, powered by the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Mornings at 5.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Thank you for joining us. It is Friday, March 24th, along with Ken Weaver and Johnny B. We appreciate you being with us. By the way, coming up in, I hope I can get to this in the next half hour or so. Matt Gaetz, you know Matt Gaetz, he's a Florida congressman.
Yeah.
He asks a Biden official a very simple question. Listen to this.
Mr. Cisneros, can black people be racist too?
And this leads into this guy squirming in his chair for many, many minutes. And he refuses actually to answer the question.
Well, of course.
It ain't that hard, man. Just answer the question. And he refuses. So wait till you hear that. Must hear audio here in a bit on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Ken and Johnny, I'm telling folks, teasing folks, that there is a major announcement from Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg that has come out. You know, he's the guy going after Donald Trump, and this announcement is making its way across the internet. Listen carefully.
To stand for the law and put criminals behind bars, to focus on the victims of crimes, to bring diversity to the community, to make a difference. That's what makes this so very, very difficult. So I'm just going to say it. It is with an extremely heavy heart that I must announce that the New York District Attorney's Office, after an extensive, thorough investigation, has decided to drop all charges against Donald Trump. Furthermore, due to my deteriorating mental health,
wait for it,
both as a result of the stress of the case as well as Jack Posobiec's relentless attack and bullying against me, targeting my weight and repeatedly calling me Fat Alvin, implying I'm a member of the Chipmunks. For the record, I am not. I hereby resign from my position as the District Attorney of New York. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to go indulge in some very delicious chocolate vanilla swirl pudding and eat my feelings.
Artificial intelligence. Could you tell obviously that's not true.
I was getting ready to say, where's the, okay. What's the hook?
That is artificial intelligence that is mimicking. It's a video that's out there. And if you just listen to the audio, could you tell when
I thought that was him.
Yes. Right. It sounds exactly like Alvin Bragg. And I've been playing it like in my headphones during the commercial breaks. I've been trying to tell the difference between artificial intelligence Alvin Bragg and the real Alvin Bragg, and you cannot tell the difference.
All right. That's a problem.
That is very much of a problem. A couple of weeks ago, I played for you real Jerry Seinfeld and artificial intelligence Seinfeld. And it was obvious. That
we could tell that there was something up with that.
You can't tell that.
No.
Like, you cannot tell that. And that is ricocheting across the internet. So clearly, Alvin Bragg has not dropped the case as of yet. Although, and by the way, copying voices through artificial intelligence, it really is a thing. Listen to this headline. Houston couple scammed out of thousands of dollars after thieves used AI to clone their son's voice.
Yeah.
So the thieves pretended to be somehow, I don't know the mechanics of it, their son, and it was their son saying that something about ran somebody over with a car. He needed $5,000 to get out of jail, and they sent him the money. And they said it sounded exactly like him, right down to, the pattern of speech. It is amazing.
That's terrifying. You know what?
It is terrifying.
You're going to have to FaceTime now with your family members. That's like going to have to be a family policy.
Well, and here's the thing. On that video that I just played with Alvin Bragg, it is a video. So the only way that you can see that something's not quite right is because it looks like a bad monster movie, from Japan in the 60s where the voice,
mouth is off.
Yeah,
the
mouth is off a little bit because of the interpretation or whatever.
Wow.
That's the only way you can tell. It is really scary. And so as a matter of fact, now the people that warn of such things are warning Americans, be cognizant of artificial intelligence and people copying the voices of your loved ones and somehow demanding money. So that is something you got to pay attention to.
See, and that's like, I've noticed some really weird texts and some phone calls lately, where I will go back and look at the message, and it's asking me a question as if it's like a continuance of a conversation I've had before with this person.
Yes. Oh yeah, yep.
And that's why I very rarely answer my phone when somebody calls, unless I know exactly who it is, and I only answer the phone when it's a very select few people that call.
Can I get on that list?
Well, you are on that list.
Oh, okay.
You're on that list. Brother Johnny B's on that list, but very few others are on that list.
Well, I got to tell you that, the more, and you touched on something because there's a number of different articles here in the last couple of weeks warning people about scamming texts as well.
Oh, yes.
I get scammed, well, they try to scam me with phone calls, with texts, with people, sliding into my DMs on social media. I mean, it is just never ending. And you've got to be cynical about these things.
You really do, man.
All right, we got to go. 6:46. Time to check the roads. Paul Winkler, Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. Mostly cloudy today, a high of 77. Strong storms moving in tonight. Mostly sunny over the weekend, a high on Saturday of 68. Sunday, 73. Right now, 66 at Super Talk 99.7 WDN. WDN. What the hell is the name of this station?
You're changing it to WDAN.
Yeah, that's right. Why not?
That's WDAN.
WDAN. That's what we need to call the radio station. WDAN.
It's a plan.
Oh.
WTN.
There you go, brother.
And, it is interesting because looking at the headlines right now regarding Alvin Bragg, I'm just going to read you some headlines speaking about the fake announcement of Alvin Bragg dismissing all the charges against Donald Trump. That actually may come to reality.
Yeah,
Many, headline of Rolling Stones. Rolling Stone. Many top New York City attorneys loathe Donald Trump, but they don't like Bragg's chances. Fox News, Manhattan DA Bragg responds to House GOP doc request, saying Trump created this atmosphere, and ultimately he says Donald Trump is going to go down. But again, many top attorneys are saying that is not going to happen. And there's a lot of folks out there that are traditionally like Rolling Stone. I mean, they hate Donald Trump. But they're saying that a lot of people out there that are anti-Donald Trump are just looking at Bragg and saying, you know what? No pun intended here, because I guess he's rather large. I didn't know this. He bit off more than he could chew.
This whole week, this whole thing has just been cracking me up.
Yeah?
Whenever the former president put that out this weekend, at first I'm like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then I sat and I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, this is typical President Trump.
Yeah.
He is poking the bear. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, it's like method to his madness.
Yeah, that's right, John. It's method to his madness because, as I mentioned in my monologue at the top of this hour, it seems like ever since Trump purposely shined a light on this, what I would call a witch hunt, from Alvin Bragg and the progressives and, of course, the media and the rest of it. Since he has shined a light on this thing, the more people have realized that there is no foundation to this case, and there's a lot of legal experts who are agreeing with Donald Trump, and it loathes them, I'm sure, to agree with the former president, but they are saying that this case is more than likely, perhaps, going to be dismissed. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think, you know what, when people say, and I've said this too, that while everybody else is playing checkers, Donald Trump is playing chess.
Yeah.
This is an absolute example.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, I mean, you were talking about this earlier, and, we all three have talked about it too. He elicited a response from who his main rival appears to be in the Republican primary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Ron
we
DeSantis.
remember what happened back in 2016 when everybody tried to go toe-to-toe with him.
Rand Paul.
Jeb Bush.
Rand Paul, Jeb
Marco
Bush.
Rubio.
Ted Cruz. Yeah. It's
a rope-a-dope, baby.
Well,
it's a rope-a-dope.
It is. And, one of the things that DeSantis, and he's been asked about this quite a few times now, about where he was discussing the whole thing with Donald Trump. And people, by the way, on the super text line kind of disagreed with me on this about DeSantis sounding a little snarky. But, you listen to this and you tell me if I'm wrong. I think DeSantis sounds a little snarky here.
You're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into
paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
And you had a whole bunch of folks, clapping. And I said earlier this week, well, it's a very gentle tap by Ron DeSantis. But you could also, and I'm not defending DeSantis, I'm not sticking up for DeSantis. I've told you people I am a free agent when it comes to the Republican primary.
We're just talking about the facts.
But you can say, Ken, that he's talking about how just ridiculous the whole thing is.
That's exactly what he was doing. And by the way, he was perfect in his response. The way he laid that out, was eloquent.
And because he talked about Alvin Bragg and Soros-funded DAs, the crime, the bail reforms, all of that stuff is far, far, my opinion, a bigger issue right now that is plaguing Americans across the country.
Yeah.
Yet they decide, George Soros-funded DAs, including Bragg, and now he's trying to decide to go after Donald Trump while New York dissolves into the abyss of crime. By the way, coming up, I will play for you a longer response from Governor DeSantis as he talks about the situation with Donald Trump. That coming ahead here in the 7 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, if you need insurance rates or you've already got insurance, but you need to lower those rates, call the people who I would call, King & Associates Insurance. The numbers don't lie, as I always like to say. King & Associates Insurance have been helping folks out for 25 years, and they're still going strong because they treat people right. They give you the independent agent advantage. They're going to weed out the non-competitive companies to give you the best price possible. And listen, if you're new to Middle Tennessee, and a lot of you folks are, you need a new auto or home insurance agency, you've got to call my friends at King & Associates Insurance. They can help you today. If you've got a high-value home, they can also save you money. Many WTN listeners have made the switch to King & Associates Insurance after realizing they were overpaying for their home and auto insurance. By the way, multi-policy discount can get you huge savings of up to 35%. So call them today. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-329-8121 to get your T-King Insurance Royal Review. Again, 615-329-8121. You can find them online at tkinginsurance.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. It is 7 o'clock on the dot, and it is Friday. And we are tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Here's Stefano DiPietro.
There's been a few changes since we talked yesterday, and the big one so far is that higher-end threat. The 3 out of 5 is backed off just a little farther to the west, but still includes areas like Waverly, Centerville, back through Decaturville, Paris, and Murray. Those are the areas with the highest severe risk. The rest of the mid-state, still a good risk, about a 2 out of 5 on that scale. Now, the overall severe weather bullseye for tonight is going to be south and west of Nashville. It's still western portions of Mississippi, northeastern Louisiana, and southeastern portions of Arkansas. Might even include the Memphis area.
Yeah, full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Got a war on terror update. Martha Raddatz says the U.S. is getting payback in Syria.
This morning, retaliation. The U.S. launching airstrikes targeting Iranian-backed groups in Syria who they say are responsible for a series of attacks against American forces. This latest, a drone strike on a maintenance facility in northeast Syria, leaving that American contractor dead, another one injured, along with 5 American service members wounded.
All right, CBS News just put out an alert that says a new missile strike targeting a U.S. base in Syria. Just now, this is just a day after the U.S. got payback for that other attack. There are some 900 American forces in Syria as part of a counter-ISIS force. North Korea, by the way, says it successfully tested an underwater weapon it says is capable of creating a radioactive tsunami. And so how do you feel about TikTok after yesterday's hearing where the social media platform CEO tried to convince Congress that it's safe for users?
CEO Xiao Chu insisted the platform has taken steps to protect data.
And we know we have a responsibility to protect them.
The plan is to store Americans' data on U.S. soil, but that firewall won't be in place until later this year.
I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what?
I
find that actually preposterous.
It's unclear if yesterday's hearing will translate into any action.
Right now in Nashville, a suspect is in custody for what Metro Police say was a series of random attacks on unsuspecting people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kahadri Renfro after releasing surveillance camera images of a man in a hoodie beating up a 45-year-old man in a laundromat on Dickerson Pike Wednesday night. That man's just standing there with his arms folded when this guy in a hoodie walks up, hits him in the face with a pipe or some other long weapon. This attack followed 3 others in the past 2 weeks. Market Numbers report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Futures are down before the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures off 340. S&P down 34. NASDAQ off 68. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
One of the big words being thrown around in the investing world right now is this one. You may have heard it. Fiduciary. The idea that the investment advisor has to keep your interest first when they give advice. Now, it's being used in a marketing sense right now, and one of the things that I found fascinating, there was a study by the University of Southern California and Indiana University. They looked at investment advisor portfolios and they found that they were making basic academic mistakes in the management of their own portfolios. And the question that they asked was, if they can't even keep their own best interest first, how are they going to keep your best interest first? That was the question. Now, one of the things that we do at Paul Winkler Inc. is every one of our offices, 10 offices, is run by a degreed planner, number one. But we go way beyond the call of duty when it comes to fiduciary and making sure that we're using academically sound principles in investing. Evidence-based. In other words, a lot of this is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. To learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:08 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for joining us. Friday, March 24th, and great day ahead. I got to tell you that, well, first of all, let me wrap up what we were talking about in the previous hour. We were discussing Donald Trump playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And Ken brought up a great point as we were in the kitchen having coffee, because part of what I've been saying today is that Donald Trump saying that he is going to be arrested. He said that last weekend, and then that really did shine a light on the case from this Alvin Bragg. And with every day, every passing day, we find out how weak his case is. And his case has been falling apart. Because earlier this week we learned, and we talked about this, we learned that there were 600 pages of exculpatory documents that he did not share with the grand jury that would help to clear Donald Trump. And there was also that Michael Cohen letter where he was saying that the Trump camp did not reimburse him for the $130,000. Now, that's what I think. I think that that's part of what Trump wanted to do, was really put the pressure on Alvin Bragg. Ken brought up a great point in the kitchen, which was maybe Trump knew that Bragg was going to have to drop the case because of a lack of evidence and some of the things that developed this week. And so knowing the case was going to be dropped, Trump decided to really turn up the heat on Alvin Bragg and really make this a story so that the entire world would see that this case really was made out of sand. It really had absolutely no foundation at all. I love this. I love the whole thing. Now we're talking about, and folks on the super text line seem a little triggered by this, and it's okay. But I was saying earlier about Ron DeSantis and what he had to say about Donald Trump and the situation with the former president supposedly paying off Stormy Daniels and so forth. And, how he did sound a little snarky when he said that, and a lot of people got upset.
You're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
And so now it looks like, if you listen to that, and we talked about this in the previous hour, it looks like DeSantis probably should have waited another day or two before he commented on that, because that, as you know, that enraged Donald Trump supporters. Now, he was asked last night in this interview with Piers Morgan about that comment and about this situation as a whole. This is what he had to say.
Well, I think there's a lot of speculation about what the underlying conduct is. That is purported to be it. And, the reality is that's just outside my wheelhouse. I mean, that's just not something that I can speak to. So, I hope it doesn't come to where you end up seeing this going forward. I mean, look, if you are a very strident prosecutor, and this guy's on the left, and you're not prosecuting a lot of crimes, Manhattan's gotten less safe, you're going to go after somebody on the other side for some novel offense. That just does not inspire confidence, and people see that as weaponizing the justice system. So I think it's fundamentally wrong to do that. And, I just made it be known. But we'll see. Maybe it won't come to that. I mean, we haven't seen anything firm.
So DeSantis a lot more measured. And I think that was probably the better way to go. We'll have to wait and see if that ultimately does him any damage politically. There's also a number of other things that DeSantis had to say in that interview, including, what about being the vice president to Donald Trump? What about being the running mate to Donald Trump? That part of the story straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There is some audio out there and a video went viral, I think, here yesterday. And it is a hearing in Washington, D.C., featuring Matt Gaetz and Elise Stefanik. And what they're doing is they're speaking to a guy named Gil Cisneros who works for the DOD. He was in charge of the investigation into a tweet from a woman named Kalisa Wing, former DEI chief, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the fact that the DOD and these folks actually have diversity, equity, and inclusions chief is a big issue in and of itself. But she sent out this tweet. So exhausted at the white folks in their PD sessions, this lady, she tweeted out, actually had the audacity to say black people can be racist too. She says, I had to stop the session and give the Karen the business. We are not the majority. We don't have power. And so Gil Cisneros is the guy who is in charge of the investigation. And they asked him, right there, flat out, okay, so number one, what does caudacity mean? And that's number one. And number two, they also talked about whether or not it was an appropriate tweet to send as a official Biden official. And I think that is something that really does need to be discussed. And what happened to her is all straight ahead after we check the traffic. It is 7:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Jack. Mostly cloudy today, a high of 77. Strong storms moving in tonight. Mostly sunny weekend. High on Saturday of 68. Sunday, 73. Right now, 66 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the highlight of my morning was watching Elise Stefanik. Of course, she's a congresswoman. And she is blasting this Pentagon official over a tweet sent by one of their employees, and Gil Cisneros is the guy's name who was in charge of this woman and the investigation. And she asked him to actually read the tweet that she sent.
Can you please read the tweet aloud?
So exhausted at the white folks in these PD sessions. This lady actually had the audacity to say black people can be racist too. I had to stop the session and give Karen the business. We are not the majority. We don't have power. A thread wires for assistance.
I mean, first of all, a government official, certainly the former, at the time she sent the tweet, the DEI chief, Kalisa Wing, she shouldn't be sending out tweets like that. But you see, that's what the Biden administration, that's what they embrace, is this kind of thinking. By the way, what does caudacity mean? Caudacity is a slang term for audacity demonstrated by white people. In addition, and they say in particular, caudacity is frequently used in reference to bold, shameless displays of white privilege and racism. The use of caudacity overlaps heavily with related slang terms caucasity. The two terms are often used interchangeably to refer to ridiculousness or offensive behavior by white people who don't expect to suffer any consequences for their actions. So there you go. An official, Biden official, who is out there tweeting about the caudacity of white folks. And so when this whole thing came down, as you can imagine, this was like last year. And so early last year. So Gil Cisneros, the DOD, the guy in charge of this certain agency within the DOD, he was supposed to investigate this, and it took a long time for him to investigate it. That was part of the conversation. And so here's the other thing. This woman, Kalisa Wing, she has written all kinds of, like woke books and the rest of it, promoting this kind of divisive language. and frankly, sounds anti-white, as a lot of people are calling them.
In her own presentation as a DoD employee at a DoD summit, she stated, quote, "My passion work is dismantling disparate discipline systems, and I am hugely passionate about dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline. I've written a book, Promises and Possibilities, Dismantling the School-to-Prison Pipeline." Shameless plug. That's her words, end quote. So while conducting her official duties as a DoD employee, she advertised not only her personal social media accounts, which included this tweet, her personal websites, but she advertised her personal books. Are you aware that this is illegal for DoD employees to advertise and promote their personal books, that they will profit off of those sales?
And yeah, he had actually no idea. That was followed pretty much by silence, and that was at least Stefanik. Then Matt Gaetz comes in right between the eyes. And remember, the key phrase here is caudacity.
I would like to go back to the tweets of the racist person that works for you. What does caudacity mean?
I have no idea, Congressman.
You took 6 months to investigate one tweet. You didn't even figure out what the words meant?
I didn't investigate the thing. She's a DOD.
Well, you said in the Fox News article that you were going to take 30 days and investigate it, and it took you 6 months. In a 6-month investigation, you guys didn't learn what caudacity meant? I think you know. I think every person that's going to watch this exchange knows you know. She's trying to lash audaciousness with someone being Caucasian, isn't she?
I have no idea, Congressman.
Wow, what an investigation.
I love how Matt Gaetz goes after that guy. I absolutely love
Wow, what
how
an
Matt
investigation.
I mean, the point of the tweet was utilizing the word caudacity.
Yes.
And Karen.
Oh, my.
Oh, but wait, there was more. There was a lot more. And I can't wait to play you the audio where Matt Gaetz, you know, he asked this guy, he really is a government joker, a Biden government joker. And this question comes up.
Mr. Cisneros, can black people be racist too?
Oh, wait till you hear that answer. It's all straight ahead before the news on WTN. Stoltz Co. Business is booming over at Stoltz Co. And the question, of course, is why. It's because they do build great pole barns, and more Tennesseans are figuring that out. Now, if you don't know what a pole barn is, it's anything you want it to be. It can be a classic tool and work barn, a garage, a place to live. We call them barn dominiums. A pole barn is practical, efficient, and flexible, and a pole barn from Stoltz Co. is going to stand the test of time. So check them out today online. You can find them at stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook as well. If you've got a piece of property, if you've got some land that you don't really know what to do with, think about putting up a pole barn from Stoltz Co., where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. 615-622-5992. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-622-5992.
There has been another missile strike targeting a U.S. base in Syria just a day after a deadly attack on another base in Syria. Right now in Nashville, a suspect in custody for random attacks on unsuspecting people. Money news, and it impacts Tennessee, specifically that $5.6 billion investment in Memphis. These stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 727. Ken, you and I and Johnny, we're going to discuss the return of the knockout game, because that's basically what's going on now here in Middle Tennessee. It's the knockout game. So we'll
and they're putting it on TikTok.
And they're putting it on TikTok. That is exactly right. So now my question for the DA is, all right, so what are you going to do to this scumbag who just walked up to some dude in a laundromat and clocked him on the side of the head?
It looks like in the face.
In the face.
With a cane or a pipe or something.
I'm telling you, this kind of stuff, and if this guy is ultimately they plead this thing down or whatever it is, they don't charge him as seriously as they should. I mean, I don't pretend to know what's a felony and what's a misdemeanor, but this is clearly an assault.
Oh,
and we see this
could be attempted murder.
Thank you, Ken. It could be attempted murder. And what is the DA going to do? Glenn Funk, what are you going to do? I am asking the question right now, and I know the people in Glenn Funk. See, now I'm getting mad. I know the people in Glenn Funk's office. I know they listen to this radio station, because every time I say something negative about Glenn Funk, I hear about it from them. So I want to know from Glenn Funk and his office, what are you going to do with this dirt bag? That's what I want to know. So get on your little recording machine and find out what I said about the DA and call me up and tell me what exactly precisely are you going to do with dirt bags, scumbags like this who walk up to unsuspecting people and clock them in the face.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yep.
How you guys doing?
Doing all right, Brother Dan Mandis. I'll say this.
Feel better now.
This attack Wednesday night was preceded by 3 others in the past 2 weeks.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you see this kind of crap in New York and Philadelphia all the time. And so it's part of the narrative. It's part of what's going on in these bigger cities. Chicago's another one where you just have innocent people. You remember that story I covered, I mean, it was a couple of years ago now, where a poor old lady is walking down the street and some jackhole comes up and pushes her over and her shopping cart as well. This woman was like 90.
She hit her head on the concrete.
She hit her head on the concrete. That is exactly right, Ken. So I would like to invite Glenn Funk onto the radio program next week. I got a clear schedule. I don't have anything scheduled next week. I would like to invite Glenn Funk on the program, DA for Nashville, and I'd like to ask him, what do you plan on doing with this particular case? And I don't know, Ken, if they got if they arrested the others that did these knockout game crimes earlier. But, I mean, I would like to have him on and say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about this? Because you've got to stop this, because innocent people are getting hurt. I will get to, I'm sorry, I went off on that. I'll get to the question that Matt Gaetz asked that Biden official about racism. We'll play that audio coming up at 7:35. Very quickly, I want to tell you about my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. These are the people that I had out to my house. I am one of 23,100% satisfied customers that they have helped over the years. These folks at USS, they are the absolute best. They do great work and have great warranties as well, lifetime warranties that are transferable and are guaranteed for the lifetime of your home. They'll also provide services with no down payment. That is why so many people like USS, they do great work when it comes to concrete leveling, waterproofing, or foundations. So call them today. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-227-2275. Homeowners trust USS, 615-227-2275, USSTN.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are tracking the risk for severe weather tonight. Full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. CBS News is reporting there has been another missile strike targeting a U.S. base in Syria just one day after a deadly attack on another base, which left an American contractor dead, another one injured, along with 5 American service members wounded.
There are some 900 American forces in Syria as part of a counter-ISIS force. They include Special Operations Forces, active duty, National Guard, and those contractors who are a vital part of the mission. But they're under constant threat. Since early 2021, they have been targeted 78 times by drones and rockets by these proxy groups. And sadly, this latest claiming the life of the American.
As Martha Raddatz reporting, meanwhile, North Korea has constantly tested weapons and U.S. resolve. The latest overnight, North Korea says, was a nuclear-capable underwater attack drone they claim can cause a nuclear tsunami to destroy enemy naval strike groups. Experts are skeptical at this point, but what is clear is that this is in response to U.S.-South Korean joint military exercises. Right now in Nashville, a suspect is in custody for what Metro Police say was a series of random attacks on unsuspecting people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kahadri Renfo after releasing surveillance camera images of a man in a hoodie beating up a 45-year-old man in a laundromat on Dickerson Pike Wednesday night. That man just standing there with his arms folded when he was hit with a pipe or some other long weapon. This attack followed 3 others in the past 2 weeks. Money news, and it impacts Tennessee.
Downshifting into sustainability put the brakes on Ford's profits. The automaker says its electric vehicle business lost $3 billion before taxes over the past 2 years, and that it expects to lose about the same amount this year. Ford isn't worried, though. It says it knew investing in new, necessary technology would be costly. It's expected to rev up profits in the near future, with the unit making money by late 2026.
And this morning, Ford saying it will crank out 500,000 electric vehicles a year once its $5.6 billion Memphis campus is fully operating. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 7:33, Nashville's Morning News. You know, everything is changing so fast these days, and yes, that is a great thing. Take watching movies at home. Used to be, I would be lucky if I could get one video to load onto my desktop computer. But these days, with Xfinity 10G network, that, my friends, has really changed. Call Xfinity today and check out their 10G network. You get really fast internet, and even faster speeds are rolling out every single day. You can power a house full of devices at once with ultra-low lag. This is what I love about Xfinity, and right now, a great deal. New customers can get 200 megabit Xfinity internet during our limited time Xfinity 10G network launch celebration for just $25 a month for 2 years. Plus, there's no annual contract required, and you can get the Wi-Fi equipment included. All you got to do is call them at Xfinity. 1-800-XFINITY. You can find them online at xfinity.com/10G. Or you can visit a store today. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary. 7:39, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here along with Johnny B. Ken Weaver. It's a very simple question that Matt Gaetz was trying to ask this Gil Cisneros, who works for the DOD, and he was in charge of an investigation into the former DEI chief there for the DOD, I guess, Calissa Wing. And she had tweeted out the following. So exhausted at the white folks in these PD sessions, this lady actually had the audacity to say black people can be racist too. She tweeted out, I had to stop the session and give the Karen the business. We are not the majority. We don't have power. And so she was, I guess, unceremoniously taken off of her rather lofty position as DEI chief. And it's interesting because there was supposed to be this big investigation done into this tweet by Gil Cisneros. He's the guy in charge of the investigation into Wing. And the investigation basically never happened. And so he's now being grilled by the Republicans. I'm not entirely certain which committee it was. But he was asked a very simple question, and the question was leveled at him right between the eyes by Congressman Matt Gaetz.
The audacity to say that black people can be racist too. Mr. Cisneros, can black people be racist too?
I've already stated, Congressman, that I didn't agree with her statements.
But I'm asking about that provision. Can black people be racist?
I want you to listen very closely because he goes out of his way not to answer the question. And it's a simple question.
This question is about me or my personal beliefs. But again,
you're
I
the
don't,
leading official over DEI.
I don't
a
agree.
racist person who works for you puts out these tweets, and you won't say whether you agree or disagree.
I told you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want
don't
to remind
agree with
members to
her
observe standards of decorum.
This is decorum. It's my time. Can black people be racist?
I do not agree with that tweet.
Do you agree with that statement? I'm asking you a statement. Can black people be racist?
I'm not going to answer that, Congressman.
Why not?
What? Why is this so hard? I'm sorry, my voice is going up, but why is this so hard? Either you agree that black folks can be racist or you don't. But it's not a difficult question to answer.
Unless you're a woker.
Unless you're a woker. Thank you, Johnny. And
maybe the results of his study hasn't come in yet.
And the bottom line question is that, I mean, to me, the answer to that question is yes. Black people can be racist. White people can be racist. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. You can be racist. And you can also, if you're a racist, you're ignorant and dumb. But I'm just here to tell you, I don't know why he's so afraid to simply answer the question. But it gets to the point of ridiculousness.
Because you're asking me a personal opinion, and that's not what this is about.
Actually, I'm asking you in your capacity as a senior DOD official in the Biden administration, where we see recruiting falling off the table, whether or not the embrace of racist tweets, whether shuffling these people around rather than firing them, and whether this little exchange here is helping or hurting recruiting. Let's go ahead and put up the recruiting.
I will tell you, we do not support racist tweets. We do not support racism.
Well, did you fire this lady?
No. The answer to that question is no. She was not fired. Again, she was moved to another department. You know what I would have, if I were Matt Gaetz, and maybe this happened during the back and forth, but I would love to see the woman who sent out this racist tweet, Calissa Wing, I would love to see her have to go through diversity and equity training, right? Because she sent out a racist tweet, did she not? I think everybody would admit and acknowledge that that was a racist tweet. So I think that she's got to go through some diversity training.
We could send her some.
Absolutely. But no, she's out there just, wokers within the Department of Defense. And they do wonder, and Matt Gaetz talked about it, they had a big old nice chart showing that military recruitment is plummeting because of this kind of crap, because the kind of tweet that she sent, because that tweet is emblematic of what is going on within, some avenues of our military. So Matt Gaetz was absolutely right to ask the question, and big shocker, as Cisneros never did answer that question. It is 7:43 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super text line is been kind of like how I feel this morning, a little slow. If you would like to text in this morning, you can at 615-737-9986. Coming up next, what did Ron DeSantis say about being the running mate of Donald Trump? That is coming up. Also, just so you folks know, people keep asking me, are there tickets left for the event on March 30th? I will tell you that, yes, there are still tickets left. It is going to be at the Parthenon Grill. And I got to say, Ken, that tickets started flying off the proverbial shelves when Johnny said that he was going to be there.
Oh, yes.
So get your tickets fast, folks. Johnny's going to be there. Pamela Furr is going to be there as well. The hosts are going to be there. And it's going to be March 30th. It all begins at 6, a live broadcast, and it all begins at 6 again with a Brian Wilson show. So if you'd like to check it out and check us out and, meet us and talk to us, and I love talking to you folks, you can find more information at 997WTN.com. Would love to see you there. It is 7:45. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. 7:46 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather today and this weekend, mostly cloudy today and a high of 77. Some strong storms coming in overnight, mostly sunny over the weekend. A high on Saturday, 68. High on Sunday, 73. Right now, 65 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Ron DeSantis, very much in the news. I've been playing you audio bites all morning long here and there of the Florida governor and his thoughts about running for president, among many other things. He was interviewed by, somebody help me, good Lord. Piers Morgan. Thank you.
There you go, Brother Dan. Way to go. You helped yourself.
I did help myself. Mind blinked there. You know what? I think it was that previous segment listening to that wokester. It's eating away at my brain cells. You know what? We talked about this yesterday. The American people, the dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
And I said yesterday, it's too much Biden, too much Corinne Jean-Pierre, and too much Gil Cisneros. And that is leading to the dumbing down of America. How to make America smarter? Listen to people like Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Now, DeSantis was being interviewed by Piers Morgan. And the question, of course, came up regarding DeSantis running with Donald Trump. This is what he had to say, because this is what everybody's always talking about.
Would you be willing to serve as vice president with Donald Trump?
And I should say that is not Piers Morgan. That is Eric Bolling.
I think I'm probably, more of an executive guy. I mean, I think that you want to be able to do things. That's part of the reason I got into this job, is because we have action. We're able to make things happen, and I think that's probably what I'm best suited for.
So, in other words, no, he will not be running as Donald Trump's running mate. And quite frankly, I don't think he needs to. I don't. I agree with DeSantis. He is an executive. Now, whether or not he is the right executive heading into 2024, that is something for Republicans to decide. Everyone knows. If you've been listening to this show, you know, because we all really have been telling you about the latest polling that shows that Donald Trump has been pulling away from DeSantis in the polling. When you ask folks, okay, so who would you like to see, Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, win the primary? Many Republicans saying Donald Trump. Then, of course, the question is, who can beat Joe Biden? And so that is a constant conversation. Also, in the discussion between Piers Morgan and Ron DeSantis, the question about what exactly is truth these days. Here's what DeSantis said.
We live in a world where people talk about my truth as if somehow you can create your own version of the truth. To me, facts are facts. The truth is what it is. It's the truth. people feel, whether it's been in the US or the UK with Boris Johnson, they feel like there's been a departure from truth being an important factor of leadership.
100%. I mean, look, truth is essential. We have to agree that there's a certain reality to the world we live in. And if we can just create our own facts, then we're never going to be able to agree on anything or never really be able to do policy in a way that makes sense. And so, yes, it's not your truth or my truth. It's the truth.
Listen, he's absolutely right. And some examples where the left, I mean, there are basic facts that are out there. You know, men cannot be women, and women cannot be men biologically. That is just a fact. But when we can't even agree on the basics, then that shows you just how insane our country has become. When you have Corinne Jean-Pierre, she says the border is closed. It is abundantly clear the border is not closed. So we have these basic facts, and as DeSantis was saying, we can't seem to agree in this country on just the simplest of things. Joe Biden. The Chinese aren't bad people, like Biden once said. Remember that? Of course the government of China is bad. Xi Jinping is bad. You have the left trying to say that a lot of them are saying, well, the police are all racist. Well, no, they're not. All of these things that I just mentioned are indeed things that people say as their truth, but it's not the truth. And a lot of this stuff goes right back to what is going on college campuses across America. And that came up during this discussion as well.
It's not good for them because when they get into the real world, their assumptions have never been questioned.
Graduates.
You should want your assumptions questioned. A university is about pursuing truth. It's about rigor and academic integrity and giving people the foundation so they can think for themselves and be citizens of the republic, not to impose ideology. We want there to be free speech on campus. We want the professors to come from a wide variety of viewpoints. You can't have every professor having the same leftist dogma in the class. That's not good education.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, the world according to Ron DeSantis. Great interview last night, I thought. Some softball questions from Piers Morgan, but also some questions of some substance. And I've played a lot of those for you this morning on Nashville's Morning News. 7:51. I want to tell you about my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You're going to save time and make the most money. Dan Mandis here. Did you know that Mark Spain Real Estate has nearly 10,000 five-star reviews, making them the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America? And as the most experienced real estate team, you can trust them to sell your home quickly and for the most money. As a matter of fact, Mark Spain Real Estate sells over 57 homes per day. And let me tell you something, that guaranteed offer is second to none. They've got over 50,000 satisfied clients, and you could be next. All you've got to do is call them to get your house on the market immediately and sold within days. 855-299-SOLD is the phone number, 855-299-SOLD. You can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home quickly and for maximum profit. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. You can find them online at markspain.com and start packing.
Spring is here, and the Toro Spring Sales event going on right now at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They've got plenty of locations across Middle Tennessee. It's where the pros go. Hey, it's where Johnny B goes. And Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply.
All right, got an update on the war on terror on two fronts this morning, Syria and North Korea. Interesting border security update where illegal immigrants are finding a different way to get into the U.S. These stories and more at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 7:57 on Nashville's Morning News. Hey, coming up, I've been looking forward to this all day. You heard about this crazy story in Colorado. A dentist is accused of poisoning his wife. It is a crazy story. Well, coming up next, I've got a reporter from Colorado who is covering this story. It turns out, imagine his surprise when this reporter found out this is his dentist that he's been going to for years, and now he's covering the story. He's going to join us at 8:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eight o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we're tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Stefano DiPietro tells us.
There's been a few changes since we talked yesterday, and the big one so far is that higher-end threat. The 3 out of 5 is backed off just a little farther to the west, but still includes areas like Waverly, Centerville, back through Decaturville, Paris, and Murray. Those are the areas with the highest severe risk. The rest of the mid-state, still a good risk, about a 2 out of 5 on that scale. Now, the overall severe weather bullseye for tonight is going to be south and west of Nashville. It's still western portions of Mississippi, northeastern Louisiana, and southeastern portions of Arkansas. Might even include the Memphis area.
All right, full forecast traffic updates in 5 minutes. War on terror update. This morning, retaliation. The U.S. launching an airstrike targeting Iranian-backed groups in Syria who they say are responsible for a series of attacks against American forces. The latest, a drone strike on a maintenance facility in northeast Syria, leaving one American contractor dead, another one injured, along with 5 American service members wounded. Meanwhile, get a load of what North Korea is doing.
North Koreans have been constantly testing weapons and U.S. resolve. This latest, they say, is a nuclear-capable underwater attack drone they claim can cause a nuclear tsunami to, say, destroy enemy naval strike groups. Experts are a little skeptical at this point, but what is clear is that it is in response to U.S.-South Korean joint military exercises.
Martha Raddatz reporting. Border security. Jim Ryan says illegal immigrants are finding a different way to get into the U.S.
A one-way airline ticket from Mexico to Montreal or Toronto can go for as little as $350. It's a trip that thousands of migrants have been willing to take as a way of illegally slipping into the United States from the north. But immigrant advocate Thomas Cartwright says,
if you do try and cross from Canada to the United States, you will just be put on a plane and brought back to the southern border.
He watched as a plane load of around 4 dozen migrants headed for deportation arrived this week at the airport in El Paso from the Northeast.
Later today in Nashville, News Channel 5 says Metro will release 2 possible redistricting maps. The city's working to meet a deadline to comply with the new state law limiting city councils in Tennessee to 20 members max. Nashville has 40. The law does not specify how many at-large seats can be in the mix. Observers say the more at-large districts, the better chances for minority representation. Money news that impacts Tennessee.
Downshifting into sustainability put the brakes on Ford's profits. The automaker says its electric vehicle business lost $3 billion before taxes over the past 2 years, and that it expects to lose about the same amount this year. Ford isn't worried, though. It says it knew investing in new, necessary technology would be costly. It's expected to rev up profits in the near future, with the unit making money by late 2026.
Yeah, this morning, Ford saying it will be able to crank out 500,000 electric vehicles a year once its $5.6 billion Memphis campus is fully operating. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Futures are down ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures off 302. S&P down 31. NASDAQ down 61. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:06, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for joining us. The strange case, bizarre case of a dentist in Colorado accused of poisoning his wife. A very disturbing story with a lot of sordid details. And here to help us out with those details, Stephen Tubbs, a reporter and talk show host out of Denver, Colorado. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us. And this story, at least personally for you, is made all the more surreal by the fact that this James Craig, he was your dentist.
Dan, good morning. I don't mean to laugh because of the seriousness and the horrible story, but it's still, after almost a week of me realizing that this man who has made international news was working on my mouth for 25 to 30 hours over the last, decade or so. And to read this arrest affidavit, it still fully hasn't sunk in yet, but it is one of the most bizarre stories that I certainly have covered as a newsman, and it is one of the strangest personally connected stories and horrible stories I've certainly ever been connected with in life.
Yeah, and this guy's name is James Tolliver Craig. And so I've got to ask just a question. What is he like? I mean, you sat in his dentist chair for 25, 30 years. And by the way, I can...
Hours, not that long.
Hours. Oh, I forget what I said. But I mean, yeah, and I can attest he must be a very good dentist because you've got great teeth. You've been all over television. And what is he like?
I found him to be, very competent, a nice guy. I would say he was kind of quiet. He was always, I would say, interested in the media. I did his advertising here at a local station. For 5-6 years, I was the one telling you to go to Summerbrook Dental in Aurora, go see Dr. Jim Craig.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Okay, that had to be tough. And when you saw that it was him in the that had been arrested for killing his wife, and clearly your first thought was, oh crap.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out of state last weekend. I come back, I see the story online, and I came back to Colorado. I do my talk show, and we're focusing on something else because I knew our news department was following the Aurora dentist. I got home Monday night. I thought, I better get more into the story and more up to speed. And I opened up the link and I see the mugshot and I couldn't believe it. One thing I don't want to lose sight of is, as bizarre as it all is, there's just tragedy here because we have one woman dead, a woman that I had met multiple times. And then I think, bigger than anything right now is this family's destroyed. Dan, they had 6 kids, three of the 6 under 18. It just absolutely, so sad and tragic for them. Yesterday morning, a little less than 24 hours ago, I was in court for his second court appearance, and here is Dr. Jim Craig. Dr. Jim, as everybody called him. Here he's 10 feet away from me. I hadn't seen him in a few years because I moved and changed dentists. But there he is, in his orange, clothing, jail clothing, and
well,
wow.
and the couple of things. I read that he had tried to poison her before, and apparently the allegation is, just so folks know, the allegation is that he put some sort of poison in her protein shakes. And arsenic in her protein shakes. And there's text messages going back and forth between the two where she's saying, I don't feel so good. So let's talk a little bit about the possible motivation here.
Well, I haven't heard anybody yet, Dan, talk about any kind of life insurance policy, but, you're trying to allegedly kill your wife. That hasn't come up. It didn't come up anywhere in the 52-page arrest affidavit, but just adding layer upon layer. So apparently, according to the arrest affidavit in Aurora Police, he tried to he successfully drugged his wife. I can't remember exactly how long ago, but he said that it was so he could kill himself, and she would have been able to stop him if he wanted to take his own life, so he decided to drug her. Well, neither one of those things were successful, obviously, but did you know that you can buy arsenic on Amazon.com? I mean, I certainly didn't.
No, I had no idea.
$13. A $13 order earlier this month, placed late last month, delivered to their home on March 4th. These are all the allegations, but to your point of poisoning, there was the arsenic, and she kept saying she didn't feel very well. Angela Craig was in the hospital 3 different times, 2 different facilities, and Dan, as we speak, a week ago today, she was alive. She would die a week ago tomorrow.
Did they not, when she was in, I'm a layman, clearly, when she was in the hospital, did they not notice that she had arsenic in her body? Did they not pick up on that and think, well, somebody's trying to poison you?
No, and it's kind of like going back to the old murder mysteries. I mean, there's not a lot of ways to detect it. It's untraceable, and there were, according to the arrest affidavit, again, because I got to hang it on that and attribute, but the arrest affidavit, when they went in and searched the dental office computer, they found searches for, is arsenic detectable in an autopsy? How much potassium cyanide does it take to kill a human being? One of my listeners here in Colorado said, if even half of the allegations in the affidavit are true, we possibly are talking about the stupidest criminal in the history of the United States. But the one capper, and I'll tell you how this whole thing unravels, is it was last week. The second order for poison was for potassium cyanide. The order placed by Dr. Jim Craig, my former dentist, he has it sent to his dental office, and he told the staff, "I'm getting a package. Don't open it." Well, whoops! Somebody did. They open it. There's biohazard sticker and potassium cyanide labels. He then gets confronted by his business partner. His business partner says, "What the hell are you doing having this potassium cyanide?" Fast forward about a week or so, the woman, Angela Craig, is dying in a Colorado hospital. The business partner and his wife are there. He pulls a nurse aside and says, "Have you guys checked about possible poisoning?" And she then, as a mandatory reporter, the nurse calls Aurora police. The investigation started a week ago yesterday, and here we are.
There's so much here, Stefan. For whatever
100%.
reason, I'm stuck on the hospital not being able to pick up that, this was a poisoning because they perhaps could have saved her if they picked it up before. There's also some allegations of affairs. I'm going to get into that straight ahead with you, Stefan Tubbs. 8:15 on Nashville's Morning News. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. Mostly cloudy today, a high of 77. Strong storms moving in overnight tonight. Mostly sunny this weekend, a high on Saturday of 68, Sunday 73, 65 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Reporter and talk show host Stefan Tubbs joining us from Denver, Colorado, talking about the arrest of dentist James Craig, Jim Craig, Dr. Jim, I guess, or Dentist Jim as they called him in Colorado. And what's interesting is even though he had been caught, Stefan, red-handed with this potassium cyanide, he still used it in the crime, knowing there would be people that could say that he had this delivered to the office.
Yeah, I don't know what the autopsy is going to show as to what kind of chemicals were found in her. I mean, I'm trying to go over the timeline. And I don't know if he still had access to the potassium cyanide directly, if it was that batch. But, I mean, if the allegations are true, how stupid can someone be?
This is a textbook case, not that I looked these things up, but textbook case of how not to commit a murder. And also, he apparently had allegations of multiple affairs, they say. Has that become part of the discussion as well? I'm reading from ABC News. They say, yeah, there was some affairs going on as well.
Oh, God. I mean, you can imagine the salaciousness of the story and how people, let's just say, I've been on with News Nation the last couple of nights with Chris Cuomo, and, the banner on the bottom of the television is porn-addicted dentist murders wife. I mean, that has all of those ingredients. And, of course, there's got to be an affair. I mean, what's the leading reason why somebody wants to, get out of a marriage or maybe potentially commit crime against the spouse? It's usually there's a third party. The allegations are, and the affidavit shows, that this orthodontist in Texas that Dr. Jim is allegedly having an affair with, while his wife is dying in a Denver area hospital, there's a plane ticket, actually a couple of them, that are purchased for her, the mistress, alleged mistress, to fly into Denver.
Oh, my
It's nuts.
That is insane. Okay, well, this guy...
Dan Mandis, my former dentist with 6 children in the LDS community. He comes across as the nicest guy, competent. I mean, and then I see him in his orange jail suit yesterday morning. It's truly one of the most bizarre things if you would have written this script, I wouldn't have believed you.
Now, I got to ask you, you're in the courtroom with Dr. Jim. Does he see you and recognize you?
No, he did not. He looked down. He came shuffling in. He shackled at the feet.
He should be looking down after what he's accused of doing.
You think?
Now, what happens to these? What happens, Stephen, to these 6 kids?
Well, I know that Dr. Jim Craig's parents were there yesterday, and they wouldn't talk to any of us, in the media. But I've been told that the kids are being taken care of well by the family. But which side of the family? It's just tragic, and that is, as much as the headline grabbing stuff pops out at you, as a father, I just.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for most people listening, right, you have parents and you're a parent and everything. You look at these kids and, what kind of lives are they going to have now?
Oh, I can't imagine. The father that you loved kills the mother that you loved. The father is going to be put away for life. I should know this, Stephen. It's been a long time, though, since I've been in Colorado. Death penalty in Colorado?
Great question. There was until our current governor, who now is just beginning his second term. No death penalty. It was abolished, and I am a pro-death penalty person. I'm a death penalty proponent. After many soul-searching years of my life and covering news and death penalty cases, and no death penalty in Colorado, and I think this is one of the reasons why you're going to see a very interesting defense here, and whether it's a public defender or not. And Dan, I know you got to go, but I'd love for your audience to be aware of a podcast that I started a couple of nights ago. It's called Arsenic DDS, and it's available video and audio. It's on our website, but pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, Rumble, YouTube, video and audio. And if you're interested in this story, I'm not going to try to get into the tabloid headlines, though it's hard to avoid, but basically just give you behind-the-scenes peek. So that'd be great if
and people
you're interested, take a look.
And Stephen, people can Google your name and find it there as well, STEFFAN Stephen Tubbs. And I listened to that podcast, and it is so compelling. And we have just touched the surface of this thing in the minutes that I have. So
thank you, brother.
Yeah, I'll look forward to checking back with you again as this case continues to make its way through the courts. I realize that you don't have to be all that smart to be a murderer. I get, but my Lord, man. I mean, every mistake you could possibly make, and the very sad part about this clearly is 6 now parentless children, and a woman is dead, and he is in jail, And if he truly did do all of this stuff, remember, he's entitled to a jury in a court of law and all that kind of stuff. But if he did, I wonder if this will bring more of a conversation into Colorado regarding the death penalty. 8:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Wellness Institute of Nashville and my buddy, Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Let me tell you something. This is a guy who is looking out for you by offering non-surgical spinal decompression therapy at half off when you mention my name. Now, right now, your first consult is $23, and then your customized healing recovery plan will be discounted by 50% off when you mention my name. Spinal decompression therapy is how I was able to get relief from my chronic back and neck pain. Those spinal decompression machines are the key to relieving your issues, and you can call them right now at 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. The Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. 50% off. This is an extraordinary deal just for you. So let him help you. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com.
One of the big words being thrown around in the investing world right now is this one. You may have heard it. Fiduciary. The idea that the investment advisor has to keep your interest first when they give advice. Now, it's being used in a marketing sense right now, and one of the things that I found fascinating, there was a study by the University of Southern California and Indiana University. They looked at investment advisor portfolios and they found that they were making basic academic mistakes in the management of their own portfolios. And the question that they asked was, if they can't even keep their own best interest first, how are they going to keep your best interest first? That was the question. Now, one of the things that we do at Paul Winkler Inc. is every one of our offices, 10 offices, is run by a degreed planner, number one. But we go way beyond the call of duty when it comes to fiduciary and making sure that we're using academically sound principles in investing. Evidence-based. In other words, it's backed by a lot of this is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. To learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
War on Terror, payback in Syria. Details coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So apparently, Ken and Johnny, I need to watch more Forensic Files.
Forensic Files.
Arsenic is a special test, Mandis. Not that common. Watch more Forensic Files. 3046. Thank you, 3046.
What channel's Forensic Files on?
I have no idea.
Does that star Mark Harmon?
Kevin says there is no antidote anyway. Wouldn't have helped the wife at that point. Thank you, Kevin.
Is that Mark Harmon is in that?
Forensic Files? I don't know.
Oh, that may be like a reality show, Forensic Files.
I don't know. I don't watch TV that much.
Yeah, well.
Although this weekend, my big plan, I don't have time to do this now. Ask me what my big plans are this weekend during the Gang of Three Amigos.
You're going to binge Forensic Files?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to binge something else. Hey, by the way, coming up, Ken, we're going to play Who's the Biggest Liar during the Gang of Three Amigos. I'm just going to let that just sort of marinate for a little bit. Who's the Biggest Liar? We're going to play a little game coming up next.
Show a picture of the White House press room.
It's John, did you tell Ken what we're going to do?
No.
It is just that obvious. Is that where we are with Corinne Jean-Pierre? All right, details coming
We've
up.
been perfectly clear.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Premier Flooring. Now, these folks have the best flooring and the best prices. And since your home deserves the best, you need to call them if you need flooring. Now, they not only sell amazing floors, but they install them as well and guarantee the installation and the product. Not all companies do that, but Premier Flooring does. They've got all the best in hardwoods and tile and carpet and luxury vinyl plank. Premier Flooring has been voted the #1 flooring store in Wilson County, and they serve Nashville and surrounding counties. And they've got a great pledge for you. They pledge the best flooring value available. They pledge the highest quality professional installation. And they pledge the widest selection and the lowest prices possible. And that is why I proudly endorse Premier Flooring. So call them today and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out at 615-449-2668. 615-449-2668. You can find them online. It's premierflooringtn.com.
It is 8:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Got a war on terror update. Retribution in Syria.
The Defense Department says strikes were carried out on facilities in eastern Syria connected to Iran following a suspected drone strike on a coalition base in northeast Syria that left a U.S. contractor dead, as well as 5 U.S. service members and another contractor wounded. The Pentagon says intelligence determined the strike on the coalition base was carried out by an unmanned aerial vehicle of Iranian origin. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Right now in Nashville, a man's in custody for random attacks on people. Detectives arrested 32-year-old Kahadri Renfro yesterday. They believe Renfro is the person on surveillance video slugging a man in the face with what appears to be a cane or a pipe Wednesday night at a laundromat on Dickerson Pike. That man just standing there with his arms folded. Got clocked in the face for no good reason. This attack Wednesday night was the 4th such attack in the past 2 weeks. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
New concerns about the banking industry coming from Europe overnight have investors feeling leery as they return to the trading floor here. Before the opening bell, Dow futures were down more than 350 points. NASDAQ futures were off 0.6%. Standard & Poor's futures a full percent. On Thursday, though, the Dow Jones gained 75 points and landed at 32,105. The S&P 500 added 0.3%. The NASDAQ composite rose 1%. Food giant General Mills says inflation is not slowing its revenues yet. The company, which makes everything from breakfast cereal to cake mix, says higher prices helped to boost revenues 13% in the last quarter. Car makers Hyundai and Kia are telling owners of over 500,000 SUVs and minivans to park them outside because of a potential problem with a tow hitch. It could spark a fire. The recall affects the Kia Carnival, the Hyundai Santa Fe, and Santa Cruz SUVs.
All right, we're 2 minutes into the trading day, and right now stocks are headed lower. The Dow is down. So is the S&P. Dow is down 158, S&P down 20, NASDAQ off 54. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 8:32. on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My friends at Window Nation have a great deal just for you. Now, you pay your energy bills, and so you know how high your utilities are because of your heater or your air conditioner. Window Nation can help you save up to 30% on your heating bills. 43% of your utility bill is heating costs. Enter my friends at Window Nation, 866-90-NATION. It's not too late to fix those high energy bills, all the while getting off-season prices from Window Nation. You can beat the rush with 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy, plus pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. That is 2 years, pay nothing, courtesy of my friends at Window Nation. The phone number is 866-90-NATION. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Listen, you can increase the value of your home by up to $12,000 going through Window Nation. Get a federal tax credit as well, up to $500 with my friends at Window Nation. And don't forget about the great deal. Beat the rush with 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy, plus pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. 2 years, paying nothing with Window Nation. 866-90-NATION is the phone number. Mention my name when you call, 866-90-NATION. You can find them online, windownation.com. 8:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the Gang of Three Amigos. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
Johnny B is here as well. Good morning, Johnny.
Good morning, Dan.
I'm Dan. This show today, it feels like it's just been flying, and I can't believe that we're at the end of another week.
Yes, sir.
I'm not complaining, mind you.
Yeah, we like Friday.
That's exactly, we do like Fridays. Now, I want to play Who's the Better Liar?
Okay.
Because, lies from the White House, lies out there. And so I noticed that I was reading an article the other day that was actually kind of funny, where it was the signs that someone is lying to you.
Yeah.
And so I, of course, in my stupid political mind said, well, anytime somebody says, let me be perfectly clear, which is what Biden does or Karine Jean-Pierre does.
Yeah.
Or I got to be honest with you.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. That's another one. You know what? My word is a Biden. That's how you know that anyone is lying when you say
That's right.
My word is a Biden. You know what? It's going to be a really cloudy, stormy, ugly weekend. My word is a Biden. Now, of course, it's going to be a nice weekend this weekend, so that's how you know that I was lying, because I said my word is a Biden.
Yeah.
Now, who is I know that was dumb. So, we done yet?
Very well.
Very well. I'm going to very well myself again.
How about some So Chew? Want to hear some So Chew?
I do want to hear some So Chew.
Selling TikTok to Congress yesterday?
Yep.
That's what we've been doing for the last 2 years. Building what amounts to a firewall that seals off protected U.S. user data from unauthorized foreign access.
Problem solved.
I feel better.
I do. So it's, what's his name again?
That's So Chew.
So Chew.
Oh, so you still don't believe him? Well, what about this?
ByteDance is not owned or controlled by the Chinese government. It's a private company. 60% of the company is owned by global institutional investors. 20% is owned by the founder, and 20% owned by employees around the world.
See?
So I guess TikTok is not stealing our data or manipulating those algorithms and all the other things that they're accused of. And so I heard that earlier in your news, Ken, and I thought, man, that guy, he sounds really good. He sounds really confident. He sounds like, he's telling the truth. Now, you know that he's not.
Yeah.
But at least he sounds very confident. So then I started thinking, well, who's the better liar? Sin Chu there or...
We have heard from House Republicans for years and years and years.
Karine Jean-Pierre.
How the inaccuracies and lies when it comes to this issue. And I don't even know where to begin to even answer that
question. See, I think that Sin Chu actually sounds a lot more confident than Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre, she's a little too halting in her lies.
Yes.
How the inaccuracies and lies when it comes to
like there was no halting when it came to Sin Chu. I mean, he was like right there. He was like, hell no, TikTok isn't stealing our data or killing our children.
We have heard,
but you got
from House
Karine Jean-Pierre, and
for years.
She just doesn't have the same confidence level.
Well, no, and also in his statement, it felt very positive. It felt very comforting.
Yes, look at what TikTok is doing to protect America.
Yeah, hers is not that way at all. Everything is negative if you listen.
Well, she's a very negative Nelly, Karine Jean-Pierre. She's very much of a negative Nelly.
Well, listen to So here. Listen to So Chew here.
TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government.
See? So
he's got everybody, that was an inspiring answer and speech.
Yeah, because remember, Twitter was never manipulated by any government.
No, Ken Weaver.
Not at all.
No, not at all. All right, so the award for the best liar goes to Shin Chu. Is that what his name is?
So Chew.
So Chew.
So Chew. I think
Bless
So
you.
Chew is. I think So Chew is our guy.
You people that are like mocking me for saying "bless you" when Johnny said his name, y'all know you were doing it too in your car, right? Wasn't just me.
So
yes. So very good, Johnny.
I don't think he convinced one member of that committee yesterday.
Everybody knows what's going on with TikTok. We're in the 535. We were joking about you can't fix stupidity, and you can't protect Americans from their. Okay, let me put it this way.
Okay,
who is to blame? for these idiots on TikTok who have decided now that it's a smart idea to eat the plastic in the fruit roll-up. Is that TikTok's fault or is it the idiot's fault? It's the idiot's fault.
Exactly.
Yes,
But I
it
can see
is.
the Chinese government, though, going, hey.
Yeah, look how stupid they are.
Yeah, let's start a new challenge. Show how dumb Americans are.
Yeah.
How do you say hold my beer in Chinese?
Yeah, there you go.
TikTok CEO grilled by lawmakers for 5+ hours amid calls to ban the app. I don't know. I mean, should the app be banned? I know that Senator Marsha Blackburn, I know that she wants to see it banned, and a whole lot of other folks want to see it banned as well. You know what's interesting is you have all of these TikTokers. I think actually Pamela talked about this yesterday. You have all these TikTokers who, they're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do now? Because my account and my fame is based off of TikTok.
Yeah, they're influencers.
Well, I'm sorry, but you've got Instagram, you've got the Facebook, and you've got YouTube and all the rest of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, just get on all that stuff. That Snapchat, that Twitch.
Just stay on it all day.
Yeah.
Now, is Super Talk TV on TikTok? Is Super Talk TV on TikTok?
No.
TikTok?
I don't think so.
No, they won't allow us on there.
No.
Can you imagine?
Oh, it'd be yanked off.
Yeah. It'd be off there in a hurry.
Yankee Dog, we can't play that.
Did they just call she a liar?
Well, if they did, it's going to be the last thing they ever say.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, this dude yesterday, boy, he was selling it.
It was kind of funny. Well, they say, okay, so now, who is your favorite liar? Ryan says Jerome Powell is a pretty good. You know what? We could actually go down the. Who is your favorite liar in the government?
The favorite liar.
I mean, they used to say the irony is that they would say that Donald Trump told what was the ridiculous thing they used to say, that he told like 1 million lies or whatever it was.
Yes.
And the silly thing is Donald Trump was brutally honest. Still is brutally honest.
Yes.
The liar is Joe Biden. His word is a Biden.
That's right. Oh, Nurse Pearl. Yeah, I remember her. She went far beyond being a nurse. She even brought her pillow.
Mm-hmm.
The
I
pillow
forgot.
she dreamed on there, Dan Mandis. I love your show.
Oh my gosh. Now people are sending me 4176. They're sending me how to say hold my beer in Chinese.
All right.
I love the super text line, man.
Oh, the super texters are cool.
Oh Lord.
Find that cut from Joe Biden talking about Nurse Pearl again. Do you have that?
You know what? Let's see if I have it.
Happy birthday to
NURSEPAR.
Dear Valium. Happy birthday.
You know what else is this? Is it this weekend or next? The Easter weekend.
Oh,
They're going to have another egg hunt
Oh, God.
on the White House lawn.
They got to warn Joe.
They're going to have that big giant rabbit out there.
They're going to have to warn the rabbit.
I will never. Do you know, I still have that seared in my brain.
Oh.
Joe Biden's befuddled, confused, and horrified look when he saw that rabbit.
That was something.
That whole, and then the audio of Jill telling him to wave.
Oh yes,
That's okay. Now
wait.
Okay, smile. Now wait.
Now you know what's interesting. I'm asking people, sort of tongue in cheekly, who's the best liar? Mm-hmm. Anthony Fauci has had like 5 or 6. I mean, they're just, you know how it happens. They just come in a mile a minute. But Dr. Anthony Fauci,
yes,
Bill Clinton.
Yes.
It depends on what the definition of is.
And I did not have an affair with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, yeah, the right-wing conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dan, you're going to tell us, Tom says, you were going to tell us a story related to the gravel in your backyard.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to do that. That harkens, that's like 4 hours ago, Tom. I don't remember.
Something about mowing the lawn.
Yes.
Mowing the grass growing from your pile of rocks.
So everybody knows about my gravel in my backyard, which is still there. Nobody will come pick it up. And so I, of course, had the bright idea to mow over the gravel.
Right.
And, when you do that, the rocks get picked up in the lawnmower.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just like, I tried to raise up the lawnmower as much as I could, but it's like totally a white trash backyard, right? So I got the grass is going really high because I don't want to mow it because of, all the gravel. And so we've already talked about how I mowed over those electrical cords, those extension cords.
Yes.
So I'm mowing the lawn, and that gravel gets all caught up in the lawnmower.
Oh, yeah.
It was like my first marriage all over again. Amy comes running out. What are you doing?
How much do you got to pay for the neighbor's window, Dan?
I said, honey, I'm mowing gravel. What do you think I'm doing?
Just mowing the rocks, hon.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing, mowing the rocks.
Nothing going on here. Back inside.
I got to figure out a way to get rid of that gravel. Man.
The gravel.
You know what I really need? And this is in all seriousness. I need a landscaper. I do need a land because it's way too. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just so.
Brother Dan, you better get yourself a landscaper out there in Wilson County.
I'm sure that I will at some point. Amy's kind of putting her foot down. It's a whole nother thing.
What's she saying?
You know what? She's probably saying right about now, keep your mouth shut. And that's what I'm going to do.
You tell too much.
Although, thank you, Johnny, for not spilling the beans on the fact that I have a whole big bag of Glenna jerky.
Yeah.
That will not make it home.
Hey, here's what President Biden's going to say whenever he sees that giant rabbit again. You ready?
Yeah.
Keep a lid on her butterscotch. Look, you want to dance, hot dog? You want to dance?
I guess you're an old man. I don't want to hurt you.
Ooh! Oh! Sweaty dreams, cupcake! No! Pile driver! Oh! Get on tablet. Sleep tight, hotshot.
Mickey Rooney and Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
In Night at the Museum. What a great scene. I still remember seeing that scene for the first time. Don't know if I've ever laughed that hard, but what a great movie.
Well,
yes.
And now everybody in America can't wait for the White House lawn Easter egg hunt.
That's right.
I know. Everybody wants. And, let's face it.
That's going to be must-see TV, man.
Let's face it. Biden's gotten worse since that happened last year. So
you think they're going to let him down on the lawn, or is he going to stay up on that balcony?
He'll probably
just kind of wave.
He'll probably wave.
Oh my gosh, he starts throwing eggs at kids.
You know what? I'd like to see the kids throw the eggs back.
That would be something, man.
8:51, gotta run.
The parents will.
Plumbing, heating, and cooling. Listen, if you want to make sure that your HVAC system is going to make it for the long term, you've got to check out my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are all about maintenance. Now, I'm a member of the Beehive Club, and they're all about maintenance, man. Let me tell you that. If my HVAC breaks down, I do get front-of-the-line service, 10% off of all repairs. No overtime or holiday charges, 3 annual tune-ups a year, including plumbing and so much more. So many benefits. They're adding more all the time. You can find them online, busybeehvac.com, 615-775-7833. Maintain your HVAC with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I've been a member of the Beehive Club for, I think it's been about 9 years. I've never been happier with an HVAC company. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
One of the big words being thrown around in the investing world right now is this one. You may have heard it. Fiduciary. The idea that the investment advisor has to keep your interest first when they give advice. Now, it's being used in a marketing sense right now, and one of the things that I found fascinating, there was a study by the University of Southern California and Indiana University. They looked at investment advisor portfolios and they found that they were making basic academic mistakes in the management of their own portfolios. And the question that they asked was, if they can't even keep their own best interest first, how are they going to keep your best interest first? That was the question. Now, one of the things that we do at Paul Winkler Inc. is every one of our offices, 10 offices, is run by a degreed planner, number one. But we go way beyond the call of duty when it comes to fiduciary and making sure that we're using academically sound principles in investing. Evidence-based. In other words, a lot of this is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. To learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.